cultivation world, I begin by getting struck by lightning. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 951 Luojing City. Kaianshan Star Region, Luolanchen, Luojing City. At this moment, Su Fan's appearance and aura are completely different. He is standing in a long queue, waiting to enter the city. The city is now extremely guarded, but the people guarding the city gate are all human cultivators. These human cultivators are the group called human traders. They have been loyal to the celestial race for generations, madly oppressing other people of the same race. They can be said to be the loyal dogs of the celestial race. Su Fan waited in line at the city gate for half an hour before it was his turn. He saw a giant in-realm cultivator looking at him coldly. Take out the identity J talisman. Su Fan quickly showed a flattering smile, and then took out a J talisman from his arms. The other party took the Jade talisman, scanned it on the microarray plate next to it, and carefully checked Su Fan's information. The other party checked for a while and found nothing wrong, so he took the Jade talisman and came to Su Fan again. Why are you leaving the city? I'm going to get materials for the workshop. Let me see the storage bag. After hearing what the other party said, Su Fan was stunned for a moment, then covered the storage bag on his waist with his hands, with a trace of entanglement on his face. Hurry up! Being scolded by the other party, Su Fan had no choice but to take off the storage bag on his waist and handed it to the other party. The giant cultivator poured out the contents of the storage bag, checked them one by one, and then returned the storage bag to Su Fan. However, the few spirit stones in the storage bag were gone at this time. Su Fan wanted to say something, but the other party glared at him. Get out of here quickly. If you don't leave, I'll send you to the mine outside the city. After hearing what the other party said, Su Fan showed a trace of fear on his face, and then walked towards the city gate with a sad face. There is also a jade archway at the city gate. This is the second checkpoint to enter the city. Once someone who disguises himself to enter the city passes through the archway, he will be identified immediately. Fortunately, Su Fan walked through the jade archway smoothly without any accidents. It must be said that the stealing the sky and changing the day to wash away sins technique taught by the evil Buddha Wangda is indeed extraordinary. Disguising as other people is simply lifelike, and both the breath and blood are almost indistinguishable from the real thing. This set of evil techniques with a long tradition has long been lost. At least Su Fan has never seen any evil cultivator who has used this set of techniques, and he has never even heard of it. Su Fan also specifically asked the evil Buddha Wangda, and even he was quite surprised. It's just that he was beaten to death hundreds of thousands of years ago, and only a trace of residual soul was left living in the Buddha statue. What happened in the world of cultivation in the meantime, even he didn't know. However, there is also a disadvantage to performing this secret technique. If you encounter a cultivator with a higher realm than the caster, it is very easy to be exposed. Fortunately, the gang guarding the gate of Luojing City is treacherous, and the highest realm is only the nascent soul cultivator. Su Fan breathed a sigh of relief after entering Luojing City smoothly. He was Luo Lanshan from Kaianshan Star Region who had just arrived a few days ago. He had sneaked into Kaianshan Star Region through Ruai Pavilion. Since he spread the news that he would come to Kaianshan Star Region to take crazy revenge on the celestial race, the celestial race has strengthened the vigilance of various star regions. Fortunately, Ruai Pavilion has deployed many subordinates in Kaianshan Star Region, but it also cost Su Fan a lot of money to sneak into the city. Su Fan entered Luojing City and walked into the city along a main street. Unlike the immortal cities in other star regions, Luojing City does not have the prosperity and bustle of other immortal cities at all, giving people an extremely depressing feeling. There is not even a shop on both sides of the street, and the human cultivators on the street are also in a hurry. From time to time, you can see fierce-looking people stopping pedestrians for searches. In fact, it is not a search at all, they are just oppressing and exploiting their own people. Luojing City gave Su Fan the impression that it was not a city at all, but a huge concentration camp. Because of the small population, the celestial race is extremely cruel in managing the various planes of the Kaianshan Star Region. All cultivators of any race must be strictly divided and managed. Take the human city of Luojing City as an example. Except for the celestial race who call themselves the God race, all other human races in the city are their slaves. Even slaves are divided into different levels. The celestial race trains traders among the human slaves to manage the city. They oppress their own people unscrupulously. But even these traders who have been loyal to the celestial race for generations, once someone breaks through to the God transformation realm, the celestial race will place restrictions in the cultivator's body. From now on, they can only rely on the celestial race, and will be killed if they disobey. Moreover, the highest level of cultivators of all races in the entire Kyanshan Star region is only the refining void realm, and there is no chance of breaking through the fusion realm. There are only tens of thousands of celestial races in Luojing City, which has hundreds of thousands of people. The rest of the human race in the city are serving these god races. In the huge city of Luojing, even the teleportation array is controlled by the Shinrin clan, and most of the human slaves in the city have no chance to leave the city in their lifetime. Not only in Luojing City, but also in almost all planes of the Kyanshan Star region, all the cultivators of all races are ordered not to leave their hometowns. Once a cultivator is found to have fled from his hometown, he will be hunted down madly. Moreover, all the spiritual veins and resource points in the entire Kyanshan Star region are the assets of the Shinrin clan. Slaves of other races can only work day and night for the Shinrin clan in exchange for meager cultivation resources. Under this cruel system, even if the cultivators of all races want to resist the tyranny of the Shinrin clan, they are powerless and can only survive under the high-pressure rule of the Shinrin clan. Despite this, every year a large number of cultivators of all races still flee their hometowns, preferring to hide in the deep mountains and old forests with harsh environments to survive, rather than being trapped in towns like concentration camps. Su Fan came all the way to the inner city of Luojing City. The luxurious buildings with carved beams and painted rafters in front of him were the living area of the Shinrin clan. The inner city of Luojing City occupies almost half of the entire city, but only tens of thousands of Shinrin cultivators live there. Hundreds of thousands of human slaves live in the dirty and dilapidated outer city, and many of them are crowded in a cramped and simple house. At this moment, in an extremely luxurious house, several Shinrin cultivators who are proficient in divination are sitting cross-legged in the house. Since Su Fan released the news, the cultivators of the Shinrin who are proficient in divination have been divination Su Fan's aura almost every day. Unfortunately, several years have passed, and they have not found any trace of Su Fan's aura. After years of continuous divination, many Shinrin cultivators are no longer as serious as they were at the beginning, but divination several times a day as if they were doing a job. Oh no! I found that kid's aura. At this time, a Shinrin cultivator suddenly roared with horror on his face. Chapter 952, The Celestials, All Deserve to Die. After hearing the words of the Celestial Clan divination monk, the Celestial Clan monks who were originally talking and laughing in the room were stunned. Then, several people in the abode became panicked and shouted one after another. Is that big devil here? Where is he? Has he come to our Kyanshan Star region? Hurry up and report to Lord Luan. Let's do another divination right away and we must find him. The tranquility in the abode was broken in an instant. Everyone started to divination in a hurry, but they couldn't concentrate at all for a while. There was no way. Su Fan, the big devil, was like a nightmare for all the Celestial Clan. They still clearly remembered that when that guy just released the news, all the planes in the Kyanshan Star region were as if they were facing a great enemy. Even those high-level members of the clan who were in the refining void realm and even the combination realm had a solemn look on their faces every day. The tense and oppressive feeling at times still makes them feel scared when they think of it. But the entire star field was on high alert for several years, and the big devil did not show up. Now that several years have passed, the original tense and depressing atmosphere has long disappeared. Now, the terrifying big devil has appeared again. Su Fan, the big devil, finally showed up, but unfortunately his aura only appeared once and then disappeared again. At this moment, dozens of higher-ranking members of the celestial race have gathered in the yard outside the Jingsh. Dozens of celestial race divination monks in the spirit are now nervously casting spells and divinations. Even many divination masters in the tribe have come here from all over the world. We found him. This big devil is in the Haoguang star field. I also found out that he is in the Haoguang star field. He is in the Haoguang star field. I just divined his aura. With the shouts coming one after another in the Jingsh, many high-ranking members of the celestial race in the yard outside all breathed a sigh of relief. Although the boy's aura appeared again, the Haoguang star region is very far away from the Kyanshan star region, and the Kyanshan Star region is at least not in any danger for the time being. Send this message immediately, and all planes are on high alert. At this time, a half-step fusion realm Shinran clan leader in the yard issued a law decree in a majestic voice. Follow the decree of Lord Luan. All the Shinran clan cultivators in the yard responded in unison. Then, one message after another began to be sent to each plane of the Kyanshan Star region. Although Su Fan, the big devil, appeared again, he was still in the distant Taoguang Star region after all, and would not kill Kyanshan Star region at least in a short time. What the Shinran clan cultivators could not imagine was that Su Fan had successfully entered Luo Lanshan's Luojing city at this time. As for why his aura appeared in the Haoguang Star region, it was because he performed a secret technique in the heavenly secret chapter of the evil book, stealing the sky and changing the day to wash away the sins and relieve the evils. He entrusted the people of Ruai Pavilion to send his blood and ki to Haoguang Star domain. After entering Luojing city, he notified Qin Yu to release his blood and ki. He performed this evil secret technique to deliberately let his ki be discovered by the Celestial clan, in order to confuse their side and let them temporarily let down their guard. At this moment, Su Fan was standing outside the inner city of Luojing city, looking inside carefully. I saw the palaces on the opposite side, stretching for several miles, with halls and towers, extremely gorgeous. The palaces were decorated with gems, and the candles shone brightly, as if 84,000 colors were combined into colorful glass, which was even impossible to look directly at. It was simply magnificent and glorious, and Su Fan was stunned, not knowing how to describe the magnificent scenery in front of him. Looking at the outer city of Luojing city, there are all dilapidated low sheds, muddy and bumpy roads, sewage overflowing on the road, thick stench in the air, and even some human cultivators lying on the ground next to some sheds, not knowing whether they are dead or alive. Su Fan took a deep breath and suppressed the anger rising in his heart. The celestial race, all deserve to die. Get out of here. You are not allowed to stay here. At this time, a fierce-looking traitor shouted at Su Fan loudly. Su Fan showed a trace of fear on his face, and hurriedly bowed to the other party, then turned around and was about to leave. Seeing Su Fan's hasty attempt to escape from this place, the other party immediately became suspicious. Stop, the other party shouted, wanting Su Fan to stop, but before he could finish, the whole person was already stagnant in place. It was not until Su Fan's figure disappeared that the traitor woke up like a start, but his eyes still showed a dull expression. He stood there for a while, then walked in the direction where Su Fan left. After a while, this traitor came to a remote and deserted alley and came straight to Su Fan. Su Fan glanced at him and began to question him. Facing Su Fan, who was in the realm of transformation, how could this traitor in the foundation building period resist with soul secrets? He was like pouring beans from a bamboo tube, confessing everything he knew. Until Su Fan got the information he wanted, he waved his hand to absorb a wisp of blood from this guy, and then put Xianshan into the Zhuang's secret realm. His eyes condensed, and he performed the magic sect blood secret technique. In the blink of an eye, Su Fan's appearance had changed into the appearance of the traitor just now. Su Fan changed into the same black robe as the other party, and then walked out of this remote and deserted alley. He walked along the streets of the outer city, and the human slaves on both sides of the street saw him and bowed with fear. Su Fan looked at these haggard human beings with an expressionless face. Their faces were dark and their eyes were dull, like walking corpses. The refugees he saw in the mortal world were more energetic than them. At least there was a strong desire to survive in the eyes of those refugees. Moreover, the human slaves in Luojing city had indifference in their eyes, and could not even see a glimmer of hope. Su Fan walked in the muddy and bumpy streets for a while, and came to a luxurious courtyard. This is the residence of the Shinran cultivators stationed in the outer city. After all, compared with the extremely luxurious inner city, staying in the outer city is a hard job, so those stationed in the outer city are all members of the tribe who are not doing well in the tribe. Seeing Su Fan coming to the gate of the courtyard, the two human cultivators guarding the gate smiled and greeted him. Old Fu, why are you here? Su Fan laughed and said, I want to see the Lord of the God Clan, please inform him for me. He took out a storage bag and secretly put it into the other person's hand. Why, Old Fu, you also want to change a good job, and the tribute to the Lord of the God Clan is not less. The man glanced at the storage bag with his spiritual sense, teased, and then turned around to report. After a while, the other person came back from the courtyard and looked at Su Fan with a smile. The Lord of the God Clan is free. You can go in. Su Fan bowed to the two people at the door, and then walked into the courtyard. Chapter 953 The days ahead will be tough. Su Fan walked into the yard and came to a temple to bow. I am Fu Tao, your servant, and I pay my respects to the Lord God. Come in. Su Fan walked into the temple after hearing a lazy voice from inside. At this time, in the hall of the temple, a celestial cultivator was half lying on the ground, his golden hair was scattered randomly, his robe was open and he was wearing nothing inside. He was surrounded by more than 10 pretty girls of the human race, who served him carefully. Seeing Su Fan coming in, the celestial cultivator glanced at him, with a hint of impatience in his golden eyes. What do you want from me? Before the celestial cultivator could finish his words, he suddenly felt a black screen in front of his eyes, and then he knew nothing. The other party was just a giant cultivator, and even if Su Fan just glared at him, he would faint. The more than 10 female cultivators of the human race who surrounded him also fainted at once. Not only them, but also the few human rapists guarding the gate of the courtyard, all stood there in a daze as if they were possessed by a demon. After a while, Su Fan walked out of the courtyard, and at this moment, he had transformed into the celestial clan cultivator. He walked along the alley towards the inner city. When the human slaves along the way saw him, they all knelt down in fear and buried their heads deeply in the ground. Su Fan came to the gate of the inner city, and the more than 10 human rapists guarding here hurriedly bowed to him vigorously. Greetings, Lord God. Su Fan ignored them and walked straight into the gate of the inner city. He was relieved until he passed through the gate of the inner city. Only cultivators with celestial clan blood were qualified to enter the inner city. Except for slaves who had been given special restrictions, the human race could enter the inner city under the guidance of the celestial clan, and they could not enter from the main gate of the inner city, but could only go through the small gate next to it. Fortunately, the secret technique of the private body chapter in the record of stealing the sky and exchanging the day to wash away the evil given to him by the evil Buddha Professor Wangda was indeed extraordinary. He actually successfully concealed a detection of the forbidden detection at the gate of the inner city and allowed him to enter the inner city. The ethnic structure of the celestial race is a bit like the feudal society in the previous life. The children of the clan were all divided into various planes in the Kyanshan Star region. All the slaves in the fiefdom of the celestial race monks, as well as the spiritual vein resources and cultivation resources, belong to the lord of the celestial race. According to the information of Ruai Pavilion, Luojing City is the fiefdom of a celestial race monk in the god transformation realm. Su Fan's eyes condensed, and he released all his spiritual senses, and all the movements in the entire inner city were immediately visible. He felt a breath of several cultivators in the god transformation realm from among the tens of thousands of celestial race monks in the inner city. It seems that the information of Ruai Pavilion is still reliable. The next step is simple. Dealing with a few celestial race monks in the god transformation realm is not easy. As soon as Su Fan thought of this, a strange vertical eye appeared between his eyebrows, revealing a sense of weirdness and sinisterness. His eyes condensed, and the vertical eye between his eyebrows instantly began to spin. At this moment, in a courtyard deep in the inner city of Luojing City, several cultivators of the incarnation realm were sitting cross-legged in the Jingsh. The Shinran clan cultivator of the late incarnation realm, who was sitting at the HUD, took off a jade talisman from his waist and took a look at it, and his face suddenly became solemn. I just received the decree of Lord Luan. That big devil appeared again. Hearing his words, the several Shinran clan cultivators of the incarnation realm in the Jingsh were awe-stunned. Where is that kid now? Has he come to our Kyanshan Star region to kill us? This big devil finally showed up, and the Kyanshan Star region will not be peaceful again, Alice. I have provoked this killer god, and my future life will be difficult. The Shinran clan cultivator of the late incarnation realm put away the jade talisman. It is said that his aura appeared in the Haoguang Star region, and it will not come over in a short time. After hearing his words, several Shinran cultivators in the spirit transformation realm and the abode breathed a sigh of relief. The Haoguang Star region is very far away from the Kyanshan Star region, and the big devil will not come over in a short time at least. Suddenly, the Shinran cultivator sitting at the top of the table had a fixed look in his eyes and screamed in panic. Not good, there is, but before he could finish his words, his eyes went dark, and then he knew nothing. Several cultivators in the room were also hit one after another, their heads tilted and their bodies fell to one side, and they completely fainted. At this moment, a powerful invisible and intangible divine thought spread in the inner city in an instant. and tens of thousands of Shinran cultivators fell into coma in the blink of an eye. These Shinran cultivators cannot be killed now. Once someone dies, it will immediately alert the Shinran clan's high-level officials. Su Fan slapped the secret jade key on his waist and summoned Sister Zhen and Yaksha. Yaksha, get the inner city's celestial cultivators into the Juan's secret realm. Sister Zhen, loot everything here. Be quick. After hearing Su Fan's words, Sister Zhen and Yaksha's eyes suddenly showed a hint of excitement, and they disappeared in an instant. Watching the two ghost slaves whistling away, Su Fan's figure also disappeared on the spot. He came to the outside of a palace. This was the teleportation array of Luojing City, which only the inner city's celestial cultivators had the right to use. The reason why Su Fan sneaked into the inner city was that he was afraid of alarming the inner city's celestial cultivators and letting them escape from here on the teleportation array. And his plan also needed this teleportation array in the inner city. After an hour, Sister Zhen and Yaksha had not finished looting the spoils of the inner city. Come back immediately. Su Fan didn't want to wait any longer. If he didn't order Sister Zhen to come back, this little money grubber would knock down all the floor tiles in the inner city and take them away. Seeing that Sister Zhen and Yaksha's auras were coming towards him, Su Fan's eyes condensed and he completely let go of his mind. The celestial clan cultivators stationed in the outer city of Luojing City, as well as the traders who had been loyal to the celestial clan for generations, all fell to the ground one by one. At this time, Sister Zhen and Yaksha also floated over, and their faces clearly showed an expression of wanting more. Master, there are still many palaces that have not been demolished. The celestial clan is too rich, and those palaces are built with top-quality materials. Su Fan covered his face when he heard this. He knew that this dead girl must want to demolish all the palaces here and take them away. But he had more important things to do next, so how could he waste time here? He glared and said, "Stop talking nonsense, we should go." After being scolded by the master, Sister Zhen curled her lips, and then she and Yaksha got into the secret realm jade key on the master's waist. Su Fan stepped into the teleportation hall, and then stood on the teleportation array to activate the array. As a dazzling light flashed, Su Fan's figure also disappeared. I had something to do last night, so I only updated one chapter. I just made up for it. Normally, there will be 2 chapters in the evening. Chapter 954. I have something important to report. Lushan City, located in the northwest of Luolantian, is also a small city like Luojing City. At night, in the teleportation hall of the inner city of Lushan City, several Shinran clan monks on duty here were gathered together to chat. Have you heard that the big devil appeared again? Isn't he in the Heoguang Star region? It's far away from us, this big devil. He will come to our Kaianshan Star region sooner or later. A group of people were chatting happily, and a teleportation array next to them suddenly flashed a dazzling light. Several Shinran clan monks on duty in the teleportation hall all turned around and looked at the teleportation array. It was said that few people would come here so late. Although they were confused, they didn't take it seriously. After all, the teleportation arrays of each fiefdom were in the heavily guarded inner city, and those who were qualified to use the teleportation arrays were all the children of the clan. Just when several people were full of doubts, a figure suddenly appeared on the teleportation array. Before they could say hello to each other, they felt a black screen before their eyes, and they all collapsed to the ground and passed out. Su Fan glanced at the several Shinran cultivators on the ground, waved his hand to collect their corpses into the Juan's secret realm, and then walked out of the teleportation hall. There are too many fiefs like Luojing City and Lushan City in the various planes of the Kaianshan Star region. Even in some remote fiefs, the cultivation realm of the Lord Cultivator is only a low-level cultivator in the Giant and Foundation establishment period. In order to facilitate the mutual exchanges between the various fiefs, the inner city of each fiefdom city is equipped with a teleportation array. The Shinran cultivators never thought that someone would dare to be so bold as to disguise themselves as a cultivator of their own clan and sneak into the inner city. So Su Fan easily used the teleportation array connecting the various small towns, and in just a few days, he swept dozens of towns in succession. And every time he swept a town and left using the teleportation array, he would set a delay talisman in the teleportation array to destroy the teleportation array. According to the enfeoffment system of the celestial race, all the population and resources in the fiefdom belong to the Lord Monk, so each fiefdom, big or small, has a very high degree of autonomy. Each Lord Monk usually circles his own fiefdom and has fun on his own, and there is relatively little communication between the fiefdoms. So when Luojing City was swept away by Su Fan, a few days passed, and no one knew what happened there. In the evening, the twilight was brilliant, the thin clouds in the sky were burning like fire, and the blood-like rays of light spread down, dyeing the whole world into blood-red color. A flying boat whistled out from the blood-like rays of light in the distant sky, and drove towards the distant Zhongxun City like a wind and lightning. The flying boat came to the outside of Zhongxun City, and with a bang, it hit the spiritual shield of the defense formation heavily, and then fell to the ground. Swoosh, swoosh. At this time, one by one, the celestial race monks flew over from the city and hovered above the flying boat. A large number of human traders also ran over from the city, surrounding the flying boat in a state of alert. Bang! With a dull loud noise, the hatch of the flying boat was kicked open, and a human cultivator in the nascent soul realm jumped down from the flying boat in a panic. He saw his fellow tribesmen around the flying boat looking like they were facing a great enemy, and he shouted loudly, "Take me to Sikibo immediately, I have something important to report." A Shinran cultivator in the god transformation realm on the opposite side looked at him coldly. "A human slave trespassed into Zhongxun City, do you know your crime?" After hearing the other party's words, the human cultivator's mood suddenly became irritable, and his eyes turned red. He panted heavily, and then shouted at the top of his voice. "In more than a dozen fiefs such as Luojing City and Lushan City, all the gods have disappeared, and the teleportation array has been destroyed. Take me to see Master Kibo." After hearing his words, many Shinran cultivators around him were suddenly in an uproar. The face of the cultivator in the god transformation realm opposite him also changed. From the excited expression of the human slave, he knew that what the other party said should be true. If it weren't for something big, he, a human slave, would not dare to break into Zhongxun City no matter how brave he was. At this time, he didn't dare to neglect it. He looked at the other party deeply. "Come with me." In a palace deep in the inner city of Zhongxun City, Qi Yuan was sitting cross-legged in the hall. Opposite him stood more than a dozen cultivators of the heavenly human clan in the god transformation realm. They were all descendants of his family. At this time, they were reporting to him about the situation in the fiefdom. Qi Yuan listened for a while and waved his hand impatiently. "Okay, you can handle these things by yourselves. Su Fan has appeared again. Although he is far away in the Haoguang Star region, he may come to kill us one day. You must strengthen your vigilance and don't let that kid take advantage of the opportunity." At this time, a member of the clan ran in from outside and paid him a great respect. "Report to Uncle Qi, there is a human slave from Fengho City who wants to see you." After hearing what the other party said, Qi Yuan frowned. "Can't you handle a human slave by yourself? If you come to me for all kinds of trivial matters, what's the use of you?" After being scolded by Qi Yuan, the man opposite did not leave. "That slave has something important to report, please see him, Uncle Qi." Qi Yuan snorted coldly and said, "Bring him in." The man breathed a sigh of relief and slowly left the hall. After a while, he led the human slave in. The other party saw Qi Yuan, walked over a few steps and knelt on the ground. "Fengho City Kongjia, meet the Lord God." Qi Yuan looked at him with displeasure, and said in a deep voice, "You come to see me, what important matter is there?" "Kibo, a few days ago when I returned to Fengho City, I found that all the Lord Gods in the inner city were missing, and the teleportation array was destroyed. I hurried to Lushan City and found that it was the same there. Later, I went to more than a dozen nearby fiefdoms, and the Lord Gods in those places were also missing." After hearing Kongjia's words, Qi Yuan and more than 10 transformation realm cultivators in the hall were all stunned. Qi Yuan glanced at Kongjia and said in a deep voice, "Why did you take so long to report?" "Report to the Lord God. I am just a slave. I can't use the communication talisman to contact the Lord Gods, so I can only drive the flying boat to come here in person." Qi Yuan has been a lord for a long time, and he has forgotten this. Except for a few high-level human slaves, other slaves are not qualified to use the communication tool to contact the celestial clan cultivators. Qi Yuan took a deep breath and said, "Qi Zhen, take your people to check out the nearby fiefdoms and find out." At this point, Qi Yuan suddenly thought of something and looked at Kongjia. "You said that the inner city teleportation arrays of those fiefdoms were destroyed." Seeing Kongjia nod, he shouted, "Contact the teleportation hall immediately and ask them to shut down the teleportation array." Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, There was an earth-shaking roar and a huge blood-red light column fell from the sky. Chapter 955. Let's kill this guy as soon as possible. The huge roar in the inner city of Zhongxuan City was earth-shattering, and the blood-colored light column that fell from the sky was too shocking. The more than 100,000 Shinran people in the entire Zhongxuan City, as well as the more than 1 million human slaves in the outer city, all turned their eyes to the blood-colored light column that fell from the sky at this moment. The Qianshan Star region has been peaceful for too long. When has there ever been such a big commotion? Especially since this is the inner city of Zhongxuan City, a medium-sized fiefdom, and it is a place where a master of the refining void realm sits. Not to mention the human slaves in the outer city, even the more than 100,000 Shinran cultivators in the inner city were all standing there in a daze, not knowing what to do. Fortunately, Qiyuan did not panic, and he disappeared from the spot without even thinking about it. Bang! Qiyuan soared into the sky, knocking a big hole in the ceiling of the palace, and he was already suspended above the inner city. Until then, more than 10 celestial beings in the hall had broken through the roof and were suspended in the air. But they saw a trace of solemnity in Qiyuan's eyes. Everyone looked to the distance and saw a human cultivator standing there with his hands behind his back, looking at them coldly. Refining void realm? Seeing the realm of the human cultivator opposite, everyone's heart also had a trace of solemnity. Fortunately, there was Qiyuan, who was in the continuous realm, in front of them, otherwise they could only flee in all directions. What a joke, let alone the dozen or so cultivators in the God transformation realm, even if there were 100 or so, in the eyes of the refining void realm boss, they were no different from ants. What they didn't know was that at this moment, their Lord Qiyuan had already guessed Su Fan's identity and had already had the intention to retreat. But as soon as Qiyuan's thought came up, he heard a dull humming sound, and the scene around him changed instantly. The entire Zhongxuan city was now shrouded in a gloomy and dark domain. Dense and pale white flames floated above the domain, like stars in the night sky. Qiyuan looked at the glowing pale white flames in the air with a serious look, like a Kongming lantern, floating in the air and swaying constantly. For some reason, these light spots made his scalp numb, and even the hair on his body stood up subconsciously. This is the netherworld yin fire. Qiyuan glanced at this gloomy and dark domain, and knew in his heart that it was unlikely to get out of it unscathed today. Not to mention using the escape technique to escape, he had lost contact with the outside world, and he didn't even have the opportunity to ask for help from his own people. The netherworld yin fire is very difficult and vicious. Even if you just touch it lightly, the seemingly insignificant pale white flame will be like a maggot on the tarsal bone, and it will never go out until you are burned to ashes. At this moment, Su Fan looked at Qiyuan, the opponent, and sneered. Since completing the 5th round of tempering of his blood, his strength has increased a lot. Like the Shinran cultivator in the early stage of the refining void realm on the opposite side, he can easily defeat the opponent without using his demonized body. And now he has trapped the opponent in his netherworld domain, which is equivalent to his home court. Su Fan's eyes condensed, and the pale white yin fire suspended in the air suddenly became agitated like a boiling pot. Boom! Then, the densely packed netherworld yin fire in the air of the domain gathered together in an instant. The terrifying yin fire that seemed to have no temperature spread, and in an instant, the terrifying wave swept across the entire domain. Like a tidal wave that overturned the entire world, it fell from the sky and rolled towards Qiyuan. This pale white sea of fire composed of netherworld yin fire was like a vast and boundless aura descending from the sky, carrying a destructive breath like destroying the world. Qiyuan's eyes condensed, and golden light shone all over his body. He kept making strange seals with his hands, pinching various finger gestures with his fingers, and then pointed at the pale white sea of fire that was rushing towards him. Boom! With a violent roar that shook the earth, a dazzling golden light instantly shot towards the sky above the oracle. The extremely bright golden light seemed to be able to penetrate the void of heaven and earth, as if all matter could not be blocked by it. Shoo! The dazzling golden light instantly penetrated a pale white sea of fire that was like a tidal wave. But the terrifying sea of fire that fell from the sky suddenly collapsed and turned into ferocious venomous snakes that roared towards Qiyuan. Qiyuan's eyes condensed, and golden light shone all over his body. In an instant, a golden shield condensed and enveloped himself. At this moment, pale white yin fires were like thorns, wrapping Qiyuan around and around. The dense, pale white yin fire, like a venomous snake, wrapped the golden shield in a circle, corroding the golden shield continuously, making bursts of sizzling sounds. Su Fan and Qi Yuan were both trying their best to control the yin fire and the golden shield, and the two of them were in a stalemate as if they were competing. Seeing that the two sides were in a stalemate, dozens of Shinran clan cultivators in the inner city of Zhongsun City suddenly felt that they had an opportunity to take advantage of the situation. "Let's work together to help Kibo kill this official," I don't know who suddenly shouted, and dozens of Shinran clan cultivators in the Shinhua realm soared into the sky, launching their strongest means one after another, and attacked Su Fan frantically. For a time, all kinds of golden Taoist instruments, talismans, and secret techniques whistled away. Facing the dense attacks, Su Fan sneered, his eyes condensed, and a vertical eye suddenly appeared between his eyebrows. HMPH, Su Fan snorted coldly, as if it exploded in the void like thunder, clearly reflected in everyone's ears. Then, a vast and majestic divine power roared towards those Shinran clan cultivators in the transformation realm. Boom! In an instant, a vast and mighty force like the abyss of hell descended from the 9 heavens, making everyone present feel as if they were trapped in the dark abyss of despair. That feeling was as if they were just an ant, looking up at the arrival of the gods. Dozens of Shinran clan cultivators in the transformation realm fell from the sky one by one. Bang! Bang! Dozens of Shinran clan cultivators in the transformation realm fell to the ground one after another, dead and unable to die. Qi Yuan, who was trying his best to fight against the netherworld yin fire, was stunned when he saw dozens of his fellows being killed by Su Fan's divine power in the blink of an eye. Originally, he thought that he and Su Fan were evenly matched. It was not until this moment that he realized that his strength was not at the same level as Su Fan. He did not know that Su Fan just wanted to use him to verify the effect of the 5th round of Qi and blood quenching. Su Fan was quite satisfied with the effect of this Qi and blood quenching. The time is almost up. If it is delayed any further, it may be too late. Thinking of this, Su Fan sneered and decided to kill this guy as soon as possible. Chapter 956 I have exclusive news, do you want it? Although Qi Yuan controlled the golden light shield to resist the corrosion of the netherworld yin fire, he also tried his best. He knew very well that he had to think of a way. If he continued like this, he would not be able to hold on for long. Just when Qi Yuan was thinking about how to reverse the unfavorable situation, he suddenly found that the boy opposite him had disappeared. Just when he was stunned, he saw a figure rushing in front of him like lightning. Su Fan held a huge hammer, jumped high, and smashed it down with a hammer. Facing the huge hammer that fell down, Qi Yuan could only bite the bullet and stand up. Because now if he is distracted, the dense netherworld yin fire wrapped outside the golden light shield will entangle him like a ferocious venomous snake and burn him to ashes. A vast and boundless terrifying momentum fell from the sky, like a towering mountain falling to the ground. Boom boom, the demon-subduing sky-splitting mountain hammer slammed hard on the golden light shield, and a terrifying loud noise suddenly erupted. Su Fan smashed the golden light shield surrounding Qi Yuan with one hammer, and the explosion produced a terrifying explosion that almost overturned the entire sky, and the whole world shook violently. The terrifying and mighty power rolled up a terrifying storm that penetrated the sky and the earth in the netherworld, and a visible airflow swept in all directions. The sharp and boundless terrifying airflow seemed to cut the entire space into pieces in an instant, and everything it passed was turned into dust. The extremely luxurious inner city of Zhongsun City suddenly turned into a pile of ruins, and the children of the Shinran clan who were hiding around to watch the excitement were also swept up into the sky, turning into a bloody rain all over the sky. Qi Yuan was also blown away by a huge impact. The yin fire is entangled. Su Fan pinched his fingers and controlled the dense and pale yin fire in the domain, like a ferocious venomous snake, madly rolling towards Qi Yuan. In a flash, Qi Yuan was surrounded by the thorny netherworld yin fire. Bang! A jade pendant on Qi Yuan's body shattered instantly, and a golden shield was propped up again, which blocked the entanglement of the netherworld yin fire dangerously. But Su Fan had followed him like a shadow, and then he smashed it down with another hammer. Boom boom boom, as the giant hammer fell from the sky, there was a loud sound that shook the earth. The golden shield that enveloped Qi Yuan's body was once again smashed by his hammer. The explosion produced a shock wave like a tsunami, which immediately swept across the entire inner city of Zhongsun City, and the terrifying storm formed raged wildly. The terrifying annihilation force has raised the inner city to the ground, and even the defense formation could not withstand such destruction and was shattered. Qi Yuan was once again blown upside down by the huge aftermath of the explosion. How could Su Fan miss such an opportunity, holding the demon-subduing sky-splitting mountain hammer? Once Su Fan gained the upper hand, his attack was like an autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves, not giving his opponent any chance to fight back. Next, he banged the demon-subduing sky-splitting mountain hammer like playing whack-a-mole. Qi Yuan's body-protecting magic treasures were consumed one by one, and the giant hammer in Su Fan's hand was smashing faster and faster. There was no way, even if a cultivator in the refining void realm was approached by a physical cultivator, he would not be far from death. Especially when encountering a pervert like Su Fan, not to mention Qi Yuan, even a half-step fusion realm master couldn't stand it. Finally, after Qi Yuan's last body-protecting magic treasure was smashed, he was also smashed into a pool of meat paste by a hammer. Su Fan panted heavily, and then put away the demon-subduing sky-splitting mountain hammer. He looked around, and the inner city of Zhongxuan City was already in ruins, as if the end of the world had come. More than 100,000 Shinran cultivators in the inner city were buried in the ruins. Although many people died, most of them were just unconscious. Although many Shinran tried to escape from this place, they were already trapped in Su Fan's netherworld domain. Not to mention escaping, they couldn't even ask for help from the Shinran high level. Su Fan stretched out his hand and sucked Qi Yuan's broken limbs and arms on the ground into his hand, and dragged him to the square of the inner city of Zhongxuan City. There used to be a huge altar here, but now there are only rebels all over the ground. Su Fan threw Qi Yuan's body on the ground, then slapped the secret jade key on his waist and summoned Sister Zhen and Yaksha. Sister Zhen, you are responsible for cleaning up the battlefield. After hearing Su Fan's words, Sister Zhen suddenly became excited, and turned into a group of ghost smoke and disappeared. What the girl likes to do most is to scrape the ground. Although the inner city of Zhongxuan City has been destroyed, it is not a big deal for her. Sister Zhen and her ghost soldiers and ghost generals can dig 3 feet into the inner city of Zhongxuan City, and scrape off a layer of ground. Su Fan glanced at Sister Zhen's back, then turned his head and looked at Yaksha. Yaksha, you release all the evil spirits for me, and capture all the celestials for me. I want them alive. Take out the souls of all the traitors in the outer city. I would rather kill 1,000 by mistake than let one go. At this point, Su Fan thought for a while. When you have cleaned up the city, Yaksha, you go outside the city and sweep all the towns and resource points within a radius of 10,000 miles. Su Fan put his hands behind his back, floating in the air and looking at the outer city of Zhongxuan City. Although the fight with Qi Yuan was very loud, he actually kept his hands back because he was afraid of accidentally hurting the millions of human beings in the outer city. At this time, countless Yuanying realm and Huashan realm evil spirits were rampaging in the outer city of Zhongxuan City. The Shinran clan monks stationed in the outer city were captured and thrown into the central square of the inner city. And the large number of traitors in the outer city who had been loyal to the Shinran clan for generations were all sucked out of their souls alive. Even their corpses were not spared, and they were all torn to pieces by those brutal and violent evil spirits, and they were just short of grinding their bones and scattering ashes. A large number of human cultivators in the outer city were frightened and fled in all directions. But when they slowly discovered that those evil and ferocious evil spirits had no intention of attacking them, some people came out from all over with courage. Su Fan smiled, then looked up at the sky. There's a big deal. Do you want to do it? What is the deal? Tell me. This old bitch has always been a hawk who doesn't see the rabbit. I want to sacrifice the people of the celestial race alive. Do you dare to accept them? Of course I dare. Just go ahead and do it. I will take them no matter how many. The cultivators of the Wuman realm are all powerful in the upper realm. They are not necessarily afraid of the celestial race. I want to get a big one. You said you want to get a big one. I want to know how big it is. More than 1 million celestial race cultivators. Live sacrifice. You are crazy. Those guys of the celestial race are the most vengeful. If you offend them, aren't you afraid that one day you will come to the upper realm and let them cause trouble for you? The narcissistic guys of the celestial race, killing one of them or killing 1 million of them will have the same result. Anyway, I have already offended them, so I might as well offend them to death. You are just talking nonsense. Even if I go to the upper realm now, can those old guys of the celestial race let me go? That's right. These guys are very protective of their shortcomings. Then talk about the price. Then Su Fan began to talk back and forth with the woman upper realm boss. It took a long time to negotiate the price. After agreeing on the price, Su Fan took out the Jade Talisman of Ruai Pavilion and sent a message to Qin Yu. Qin Yu, I have exclusive news, do you want it? Yes, fellow Taoist, don't worry, as long as it's exclusive news, I will definitely give you a high price. It must be exclusive news, and it's a big scene. Fellow Taoist, can you tell me how big the scene is? Let me keep it a secret for now, you will know when the time comes. Su Fan put away the Jade Talisman after he finished speaking, and then sneered. This time, I must hurt the Shinran tribe so that they will feel pain when they think of him. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 957. Is it necessary to make such a big fuss? It took half a day for Zhenji and Yaksha to finish their work. Master, we are rich this time. Seeing Zhenji's inexperienced look, Su Fan smiled bitterly. Could it be that my sister had lived a hard life when she was young and was afraid of poverty? My brother is now worth tens of thousands of Lingyu, and the things he seized in Hongsuan City are just small money. Master, why don't you care so much? Do you know how many good things I seized? Su Fan was amused by her and said with a smile, okay, let's talk about this when we get back. Business is more important. He took out several palm-sized discs from the ring and threw them into the air. Several small discs gradually grew larger in the wind and turned into several feet-sized image-retaining instruments floating in the air. Su Fan waved to Yaksha and called him over. Put those Shinran cultivators in the Juan secret realm here and pile them up high for me. Yaksha flew into the air immediately after hearing this, and then patted the Juan secret realm on his waist. One by one, unconscious celestial clan monks fell from the sky. After a while, they covered the ground and slowly piled up into a small hill. Yaksha piled up more than 1 million celestial clan monks into the shape of a pyramid in his previous life, as Su Fan requested. This is a huge project. Fortunately, Yaksha has countless ghost soldiers, ghost generals and zombies under his command. Otherwise, it would be quite difficult to pile up more than 1 million celestial clan monks into a pyramid. Although the cruel and violent evil old demons in the world of cultivation also kill people without taking life seriously. But the living sacrifice of more than 1 million monks is definitely a groundbreaking thing. Especially the Jingwen composed of more than 1 million corpses, which is the first time even in the world of cultivation. Anyway, the label of the big devil can't be washed off. Since it can't be changed, let's make his reputation more fierce. And Su Fan took out a miniature array plate from the ring, and then input spiritual power to stimulate several light curtains. He began to adjust the positions of the several magic instruments suspended in the air according to the images on the light screen. He did not put away the miniature array until he was satisfied with the image effect. At this moment, more than 1 million unconscious cultivators of the celestial race were piled up on the square, and it was really as high as a small mountain. Su Fan walked over and contacted the big boss of the upper world of the Witch Gate with his mind. Senior, we can start. As soon as he finished speaking, dense blood-colored witch patterns appeared all over his body. In an instant, the sky and the clouds changed color. The sky, which was originally sunny, had become pitch black, with dark clouds covering the sky and thunder rumbling. Boom! With Su Fan as the center, a huge blood-colored witch array was formed, completely covering the central square of the inner city of Hongsuan City. The dark clouds were rolling violently, and arcs of electricity were rolling in the dark clouds. Every time they flashed, there would be a rumbling thunder. Crack! An extremely dazzling light flashed by, followed by a thunderous explosion. Boom boom boom! With a thunderous explosion, it seemed that an extremely huge destruction had descended, and the whole world was in a state of chaos, with flying sand and rocks. The sky was shattered, and the dark sky was torn apart. The violent roar reached its peak at this moment, and the wind and clouds in the sky rolled back. A huge blood-colored vortex appeared faintly in the thick dark clouds, and the whole sky was instantly covered with thick blood light. The blood-colored vortex was filled with flashes of lightning, as if there was an extremely terrifying terror that was about to descend from the vortex to the world. The dark sky gradually broke open a big hole, and an extremely huge scarlet light column suddenly fell from the sky. The blood-colored vortex in the sky kept spinning, and the entire land was almost blood-colored. There was another violent roar, and the roar shook the earth. Su Fan looked up at the huge blood-colored vortex in the sky and couldn't help frowning. What on earth did that old bitch want to do? Was it necessary to make such a big noise? The noise just now was really too loud. The unconscious Shinran monks piled in the square were awakened one by one. They looked around in a daze, and it took them a while to realize their situation, but when they wanted to escape, it was too late. At this moment, a huge suction force descended from the sky. They saw that their blood and ki were being drawn out of their bodies, and they could only watch their flesh and blood being peeled off bit by bit and merged into the huge scarlet blood column. The strong smell of blood filled the entire world, and the faint howling sounds could still be heard, like a hell on earth. The scarlet blood column seemed to contain countless wronged souls who could not escape, struggling in pain. The rich blood energy almost overflowed, rendering the whole world a sickly scarlet color. Su Fan looked at the scarlet blood-colored light column and suddenly remembered something. He waved his hand gently, and suddenly a strong blood energy began to roll up around, gradually spreading to the entire outer city of Zhongxun City. At this moment, countless human cultivators in the outer city of Zhongxun City came out from their hiding places, looking at the blood-colored light column rising into the sky in the inner city with shock on their faces. Although they didn't know what happened, all signs showed that the gods in the inner city must have suffered. Seeing those rapists who used to be as ferocious as gods, one by one, their souls were sucked out alive, and even their bodies were torn into pieces on the ground. These human cultivators who had been oppressed for countless years felt so happy in their hearts. Suddenly, boundless blood mist surged out from the inner city, roaring towards them like a tidal wave. The human cultivators in the outer city of Zhongxun City were immediately frightened and began to flee. However, they were also trapped in Su Fan's domain, so how could they escape? They could only run around like headless flies. The thick blood mist finally rolled in and swallowed up countless human cultivators in the outer city of Zhongxun City. These human cultivators knew that they were powerless and could only stand there in despair and let the boundless thick blood mist drown them. They were horrified to find that a strong blood energy surged into their bodies and ran around in their bodies. Everyone, practice your skills immediately. Some smart human cultivators have realized the purpose of these blood mists and started shouting loudly. At this time, even the dumbest people guessed something. They quickly sat cross-legged and began to practice to absorb these strong blood-colored auras. What surprised them was that the shackles that had hindered them for many years had become loose, and the previous bottleneck of cultivation had now been broken through in one fell swoop. Countless human cultivators in the outer city of Zhongxun City began to break through continuously, especially the low-level cultivators who broke through several barriers in a very short period of time. After only a short while, the cultivation of countless human cultivators in the outer city of Zhongxun City rose a lot overall. That's not all, their bodies were nourished with pure blood and became several times stronger. Their spiritual consciousness also increased by 30% to 40% out of thin air, and their mana was refined to be extremely pure, and even their danshan was expanded a lot. The huge witch blood formation has refined the blood of more than 1 million celestial beings to be extremely pure, and even their mana and spiritual consciousness are also condensed. Countless human cultivators in the outer city of Zhongxun City never dreamed that they would get such a heaven-defying opportunity. In fact, if Su Fan did this in another place, it would be a bit of a hasty move. But in the Qianshan Star region, for those human cultivators who have been oppressed for a long time, it is definitely like a long drought and a sweet dew. Under the oppression of the cruel system of the celestial race, the difficulty of survival for these people is simply beyond description. In their eyes, even the most miserable low-level casual cultivators in other star regions are like heavenly days. Finally, the scarlet blood-colored light column became dimmer and dimmer, and finally slowly disappeared between heaven and earth. At this time, the large number of celestial race cultivators in the inner city square of Zhongxun City had turned into dense bones piled up there. Su Fan looked at the pyramid formed by dense bones, raised his hand and waved it gently. The dense pale white flames suspended above the netherworld law domain began to slowly gather to form a raging sea of fire. Su Fan raised his hand and waved again, and the boundless pale white sea of fire suddenly fell from the sky, whistling and rushing towards the pyramid built of bones. The raging sea of pale white flames roared past the tower of bones, not only clearing away the clothing fragments and other impurities left on the bones, but also sintering the pale white bones together. After the netherworld yin fire burned, this pyramid composed of more than 1 million celestial skeletons has become crystal clear, like a piece of art, with a mysterious and evil glow. Chapter 958 How many people must have been killed? Su Fan glanced at the pale bone tower and smiled. He could imagine that if the old monsters of the celestial race saw such a huge human bone tower made up of celestial race monks, they would be furious. The celestial race was originally sparsely populated, and Su Fan killed more than 1 million of them in a flash, which was not a small number. You should know that in the various star regions of the Kyanshan star region, apart from the slaves of various races, if you only count the population of the celestial race, it is definitely a vast land with few people. Take the fiefdom of Luojing City for example. Although it is just a small city, the area of the fiefdom is as high as more than 10,000 miles. In such a large area, there are only tens of thousands of celestial race monks, and 99% of them live in the inner city of Luojing City, but they manage tens of millions of human slaves. Except for the inner city of Luojing City and a few celestial race monks guarding the outer city, the territory is managed by those treacherous slaves who have served them for generations. The fief of Zhongxun City is even larger, more than 10 times the size of a small city like Luojing City. The main reason why Su Fan set his sights on Luolandian is that the strength of the Xianren clan here is relatively weak, and the territory is too scattered. Zhongxun City, located in the west of Luolandian, is also a relatively remote place. As long as Su Fan destroys the teleportation arrays of these towns, the Xianren clan in other areas can only come to support by flying boats. Moreover, the big bosses of the fusion realm of the Xianren clan, as well as most of the old monsters in the refining realm, often live in the central part of Luolandian, occupying the best resources of the entire plain. Therefore, the clan members like Qi Yuan who are in theft and other relatively barren areas are also marginalized clan members who are not welcomed by the clan, or whose family power is weak. In fact, such an arrangement is extremely dangerous and very fragile, and it is easy for people to find loopholes. However, according to the information of Ruai Pavilion, all the star fields in the entire Kyanshan star field have this organizational structure. Maybe the Celestials are more confident. They have occupied such a resource-rich star field. This old organizational structure has been running for so many years, and it is rare that there are no problems. Su Fan adopted the strategy of surrounding the city with the countryside, and set his sights on the western region of Roland Heaven, where the cultivation resources are relatively poor. He used Luojing City as a breakthrough point and used the intelligence resources of Ruai Pavilion to sneak into the inner city. Now, all the Celestials and the traders stationed in Zhongxun City and dozens of towns around it have been slaughtered by Su Fan. This is equivalent to the entire region being in a vacuum state, and the area occupied by the dozens of towns and cities around Zhongxun City alone is equivalent to 30% of the entire western region. Although there are countless traders who have served them for generations in each fiefdom, it is a pity that the Celestials are also very wary of this most loyal group. The traders in each fiefdom of the Celestials have formulated extremely harsh rules. All traders have been detained in the villages and resource points of various human slaves, and they are not allowed to leave their hometowns without permission. This also led to countless closed human slave villages and resource points in various territories of the Kyanshan Star region. Moreover, once these monks in charge of managing the human traders showed a tendency to form a family, they would be dismantled or even directly exterminated. In fact, in the eyes of the Celestials, these human traders were no different from other slaves, and the Celestials were generally indifferent, so they did not take these human traders seriously at all. If Su Fan had not sacrificed more than 1 million Celestials, the commotion would have been too great. It is estimated that the Celestials in other fiefdoms might not have known that the fiefdoms of Zhongxun City and dozens of towns around it had been massacred. Su Fan recalled Sister Zhen and Yaksha to the secret realm and released his spiritual consciousness. He could see all the movements in the outer city of Zhongxun City and found that all the human monks were sitting cross-legged and practicing. Su Fan smiled, although he only extracted a small part of the blood and qi from the blood-colored light column and distributed it to the human monks in the outer city. But most of the more than 1 million human cultivators in the outer city are in the qi refining stage, and even the foundation establishment stage is not much. Moreover, the more than 1 million celestial clan cultivators he sacrificed, except for the young children, are almost all in the golden core stage or above, and there are even a large number of Yuanying stage and Huishan stage cultivators. Therefore, his stripping of these qi and blood is enough for these human cultivators in the outer city to benefit endlessly, and it will not cause dissatisfaction from the woman upper world boss. Su Fan took off the Ruai Pavilion jade talisman from his waist and sent a message to Qin Yu. Has the flying boat arrived? Devours, it's over so soon. The flying boat has arrived, you can leave at any time. Before launching the revenge action, Su Fan had already made a careful plan, and even the retreat route had been arranged. Although the central region of Roland Heaven is the region with the richest cultivation resources in the entire plain, Su Fan does not want to go there at this time. Su Fan's plan is to shoot a shot and change places, pretend to be cool and run away. There is a long time, he has plenty of time to play. Thank you for your hard work. I'll go over right away. Is there any problem with the flying boat? Don't worry, fellow Taoist. Only the gold medal customers of our Ruai Pavilion are eligible to enjoy the service of that flying boat. Su Fan felt relieved when he heard Qin Yu say so. He put away the Jade Talisman of Ruai Pavilion, and then waved his hand to put away the domain of law covering Zhongsun City. Su Fan turned around and took another look at the huge Jingwen human bone tower, and his figure slowly disappeared into the air. It was not until the gloomy and dark domain of law covering Zhongsun City dissipated that the human cultivators in the outer city stood up from the ground one after another. From the beginning to the end, the human cultivators in the outer city did not know what happened. Seeing that the inner city in the distance had turned into ruins, several brave human cultivators ran over carefully. Seeing that someone took the lead, the others followed. When they walked into the devastated inner city, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. In the square of the inner city, there stood a huge human bone tower. Looking at the densely packed pale skeletons in this Jingwen, everyone felt their scalps tingling and their bodies covered with goosebumps. How many people must have been killed? Although they knew that the skeletons in this Jingwen human bone tower were all the gods they hated the most, they were still a little frightened at this time. At this time, several human monks in the crowd ran towards the ruins of the inner city like crazy. The other human monks were stunned for a moment, but they reacted immediately and ran wildly to various places in the inner city. Some people ran outside the city. Their targets were the homes of the rapists in the outer city and the warehouses in the outer city that stored food and supplies. Although Zhongsun City only had more than 100,000 Shinran monks, their territory was too large. Every year, the spiritual fields of countless villages in the fiefdom, as well as various resource points such as mines, spiritual grass gardens, etc., produce countless resources every year. Except for most of the resources that were handed over to the top leaders of the clan, the remaining spiritual rice, spiritual noodles, weapon-making materials, alchemy herbs, spiritual stones and other cultivation resources were all piled up in the warehouses in the outer city. The reason why Su Fan shared a trace of blood in the blood-colored light column with the human cultivators in the outer city was to make these people the seeds of resistance against the Celestial Clan. Chapter 959, Su Fan, the Big Devil, is coming. The human cultivators in Zhongsun City became bolder when they saw that all the gods and traders in the city were dead. Although there were more than 1 million human cultivators in the city, the supplies in Zhongsun City were too abundant. Especially the low-level cultivation supplies such as ordinary spiritual rice, spiritual noodles, minerals and spiritual herbs that the gods looked down upon, they were not even willing to put these things in their rings. Therefore, these low-level cultivation supplies were piled up in various warehouses in the outer city of Zhongsun City, and they would rather rot than give them to the human cultivators. Moreover, Su Fan also asked Sister Zhen to give up some relatively low-level cultivation supplies in the inner city of Zhongsun City, leaving them to the human cultivators in the outer city. For this, Sister Zhen, who was obsessed with money, complained. In just one day, all the cultivation supplies in the entire Zhongsun City were plundered by the human supplies in the city. Every human cultivator in Zhongsun City returned with a full load, and then scattered in groups. Not only Zhongsun City, but also dozens of towns in the nearby areas, such as Luojing City and Lushan City, have plundered all the cultivation materials in the city and then fled in all directions. Anyway, the western region of Roland Sky is vast and sparsely populated, and it is full of endless mountains. As long as there are enough cultivation materials, and then drill into the caves in the mountains, it is impossible for the Celestials to catch everyone. The Celestials' rule over the human slaves is extremely cruel, and their methods are also very cruel. As long as a riot occurs in a region, they will deal with all the human beings in the territory indiscriminately, even all the traitors will not escape the fate of being executed. So whenever a riot occurs in a fiefdom in the Kyanshan Star region, all the human beings in the fiefdom will flee into the nearby mountains, including those traitors. This time Su Fan did it even more ruthlessly. He not only slaughtered all the Celestials, but also killed all the traitors in each town. This also provided abundant supplies for the human cultivators in Hongsuan City and dozens of towns in the surrounding areas. At least the low-level cultivation materials such as spiritual rice, spiritual noodles, spiritual stones and spiritual herbs are very sufficient, which can at least meet their consumption for several years. Now all the human cultivators have only one thought in their minds, that is, to run desperately into the surrounding mountains, and escape as far as they can. Anyway, the vast area around Hongsuan City in the western region of Roland Heaven will become an uninhabited area in the next few decades. At this moment, all the high-level people of the Xianren clan in Qianshan Star region are sitting on pins and needles. Because they know that the big devil Su Fan is coming. Su Fan used the big boss of the Wuman upper realm to forcibly improve his realm, so that the Xianren clan's divination cultivators easily predicted his aura. But they only knew that he was in Roland Heaven, but they didn't find his exact location. When the news reached the high-level people of Roland Heaven, Su Fan had already left Roland Heaven on the smuggling flying boat of Ruai Pavilion. A few days later, a fiefdom cultivator closest to Hongsuan City rushed to this area. But all he saw were empty towns and uninhabited fiefdoms. It was not until he arrived at Hongsuan City that he saw the huge Jingwen human bone tower. The fiefdom cultivator of the Xianren clan hurriedly reported the situation to the senior members of Luolandian's clan. A few days later, several fusion-level masters of the Xianren clan of Luolandian all rushed to Hongsuan City. Several fusion-level masters of the Xianren clan looked at the Jingwen human bone tower built by their clansmen with rage. Even though they were already fusion-level masters, their Dao hearts could not help but fluctuate slightly. If they had not wanted to find some clues from this Jingwen human bone tower, they would have destroyed it long ago. This little devil was too damn cruel. The reproduction ability of the Xianren clan cultivators was extremely poor, but he slaughtered more than 1 million people at once. Although Roland Heaven is only a relatively backward plane in the clan, and the western region of the plane is also an old and desolate area, who can blame the small population of the celestial race? In fact, population is the most important strategic resource of the celestial race. Every cultivator of the celestial race, no matter how talented he is a valuable asset of the clan. When this news spread in the clan, all the celestial race cultivators were enraged. When have they ever been humiliated like this? Although Su Fan's aura disappeared again, who knows if he will hide somewhere in Roland Heaven? If this big devil comes again, the small population of the celestial race will not be enough for him to cause harm. So in the next few days, a large number of elite cultivators of the celestial race rushed from the central region of Roland Heaven to the ruined Hongsuan City. Countless celestial race cultivators looked at the Jingwen human bone tower with red eyes, feeling that their chests were about to explode. A big man in the fusion realm, who had just arrived from the central region of Roland Heaven, had a very bad temper. How could he endure such humiliation? He waved his hand fiercely, releasing a golden light that slashed at the Jingwen human bone tower. Boom boom, the Jingwen human bone tower standing on the square was instantly reduced to dust, floating in the air. Huh? The other party waved his hand again, and the bone powder floating in the air was immediately blown out of the city. After destroying the Jingwen human bone tower, the Xianren clan's fusion realm master snorted coldly, and then left here. More than a dozen fusion realm masters who came here from all over the place are now all looking for Su Fan's traces in various places in Luolandian. Even some old monsters in the Liangsu realm of the Xianren clan are looking for those fleeing human slaves in the nearby mountains, hoping to get clues from them. Seeing that the bone tower that made all the tribesmen feel extremely ashamed was reduced to ashes, the grief and anger of the surrounding Xianren clan monks were slightly relieved. All the Xianren clan monks had only one thought in their hearts, that is, no matter how much it cost, they must kill the big devil and avenge the dead tribesmen. Suddenly, a nearby refining void realm master suddenly sensed a hint of ominous aura. He turned his head and looked around. Although he did not find any dangerous aura, his intuition told him that there must be some danger hidden around. Seeing countless disciples of the clan gathered densely in the square in the distance, he hurriedly shouted loudly, "What are you all doing here? Disperse!" Hearing his shouting, countless Xianren clan monks gathered in the square of the inner city of Hongsuan City hurriedly prepared to turn around and leave the square. At this time, the refining void realm monk turned around and looked in the direction of the destroyed bone tower. Not good. Leave immediately, he shouted loudly, But before he could finish his words, an invisible and intangible wave of destructive power spread. At this moment, the entire Hongsun city, even the earth and sky within a radius of 10,000 miles, were shaking violently at this moment. This terrifying wave swept across the entire Hongsun city in an instant, and even affected the surrounding area of nearly 10,000 miles. The violent shaking almost turned the world upside down, and the entire Hongsun city was like a lone boat in a storm. Chapter 960. How could Su Fan dare to gamble at this time? Crack, crack, then cracks suddenly appeared on the ground, gravel and soil fell, and hot breath surged from the cracks. The layers of soil in the surrounding mountains were blown up layer by layer, almost blocking the sky and dimming the vision. The Shinran monks gathered near the square were all knocked to the ground by this violent shaking, and some of the unlucky ones were even swallowed by the huge cracks. Countless Shinran monks grew a pair of light wings on their backs and flew into the sky, trying to escape from this place, but the whole world was shaking, and even flying in the sky felt upside down. Boom! With a terrifying roar like the destruction of the world, a destructive vibration far greater than before instantly descended. With Hongsun city as the center, the ground within a radius of more than 10,000 miles seemed to be blown apart by an incomparably terrifying annihilation force. Large tracts of soil broke apart, and under the overwhelming impact, they were blown away as if they had lost gravity, and large tracts of soil rose into the sky. The violent tremors of the sky and the earth also caused the ground within a radius of more than 10,000 miles to crack into crisscrossing cracks that stretched for hundreds of miles. The Hongsun city at the center of the storm had completely sunk into the ground, leaving only a deep pit of hundreds of miles. Until this moment, an endless and vast force buried deep in the ground seemed to have found an outlet for venting. Boom! In an instant, a terrifying annihilation force like the abyss of hell gushed out from the ground, making everyone feel as if they were trapped in a dark abyss of despair. The light in the entire sky dimmed at this moment. It was as if an endless and vast force had suddenly descended upon the world, and the sky seemed to have collapsed. The terrifying and boundless mighty force finally arrived. The area of more than 10,000 miles centered on Hongsun city was instantly crushed and collapsed by an invisible force of annihilation, setting off a terrifying storm of destruction. The densely packed celestial cultivators in the sky all used their escape techniques to try to escape from this terrifying place. But before they could escape far, the area of more than 10,000 miles in radius was hit by a storm of destruction by this terrifying force. The annihilation force formed by the terrifying shock wave raged wildly, and countless celestial cultivators who were fleeing were also swept into this terrifying storm like fallen leaves, and were instantly crushed by a terrifying force. Endless smoke and dust filled the air, and the terrifying airflow swept across, the earth collapsed, and the area of more than 10,000 miles was in ruins. Countless celestial cultivators who were fleeing suffered heavy casualties. In just a blink of an eye, no one knew how many people died. Su Fan placed an 8th-level immortal talisman under the ground of the Jingguan human bone tower, and used the magic array to conceal the aura of the immortal talisman. As long as someone destroyed the Jingguan human bone tower, this 8th-level immortal talisman would be activated. In fact, Su Fan did not expect to succeed. After all, there were so many fusion-level masters in the Shinran clan, and it was very likely that they would notice the 8th-level immortal talisman under the bone tower. However, after seeing the Jingguan human bone tower, the fusion-level masters of the Shinran clan were all furious, and even their Tao hearts fluctuated. In addition, the isolation magic array at the bottom of the bone tower was personally arranged by the master of the upper realm of the Witch Gate. This made more than 10 fusion-level old monsters of the Shinran clan ignore the 8th-level immortal talisman at the bottom of the bone tower. Finally, the terrifying storm caused by the boundless and vast power at the bottom of the tower subsided. As the endless dust and smoke dissipated, the vast area of more than 10,000 miles with Hongsun city as the center was already devastated. In this terrifying storm, only a dozen or so old monsters of the Heavenly Man clan in the refining Void Realm resisted the invasion of this boundless and vast force. Although some other Heavenly Man clan monks in the Transformation Realm were seriously injured, they also survived by chance. However, the nearly 10,000 Heavenly Man clan monks who had just gathered around the Bone Tower, 9 out of 10 did not escape the attack of the 8th-level Immortal Talisman. These people were not from the old borderland of the western regions. They were all elite monks selected from various families in the central region of Roland Sky, and each of them had an extraordinary origin. Of course, the explosion of the 8th-level Immortal Talisman would not be small. a group of Roland Sky heterogeneity realm bosses in various parts of the western regions, as well as many old monsters in the refining void realm, all rushed back to Zhongsun City. When they saw the corpses of nearly 10,000 Heavenly Man clan monks, their faces were so gloomy that they were about to drip water. These clansmen were all elite children of various families in the central region. Now they all died in Zhongsun City. Even those heterogeneity realm bosses could not blame them. After all, the families behind these people are not simple, and who knows what kind of trouble they will make when they go back. What happened to Luo Lanshan soon spread throughout the Qianshan Star region, and also angered all the Xianren clan cultivators. This was absolutely a great shame for them. The top leaders of the Xianren clan were also furious. They summoned thousands of elite disciples of the refining void realm from all planes of the Qianshan Star region, and mobilized a large number of auxiliary cultivators to try to kill this big devil in a short time. Although the Xianren clan invested a lot of manpower and resources and issued a sky-high reward in the entire Jiaoxu realm, it also consumed a large amount of cultivation resources to find almost all underground organizations in an attempt to get news from Su Fan. Unfortunately, there were not many underground organizations in the Jiaoxu realm who dared to take this task. There was no way. Who dared to offend the big devil now? The two most powerful underground organizations, Wangchun Palace and Wu Aidao, both met with a setback from Su Fan. In the end, they had to spend a lot of spiritual jade to resolve the grievances with the big devil. The Celestials had been struggling for months, but they didn't even find a hair of Su Fan. This also caused the miserable situation of Zhongsun City and dozens of towns and fiefdoms around it, and also made the Celestials in the entire Qianshan Star region panic. Especially the Jingwen Human Bone Tower, it makes your scalp numb whenever you think about it. Because the impact was too bad, the Celestials concealed a bone tower, but such things could not be concealed at all, and soon all the Celestials knew about it. Although the Celestials hated Su Fan to the bone, they were also very afraid of this big devil, fearing that this guy would run to their own plane. This big devil was too cruel. Provoking such a cruel and violent ruthless person, anyone would be extremely afraid. While the Celestials in the Qianshan Star region were tossing around the world, Su Fan had already arrived at the Qinglu Ocean in the Wangjiao Star region, near the Qianshan Star region. Su Fan came to a market arranged by Qin Yu for him, and then found an inn to settle down. He walked into the guest room, casually set up a barrier array, and entered the portable secret realm. Su Fan sat cross-legged by the pond next to the thatched cottage, took off the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion from his waist, and sent a message to Qin Yu. I'm here. Have you arranged it? Don't worry, fellow Taoist, I have sent people to more than a dozen star fields, and the arrangements will be completed soon. Su Fan commissioned Ruai Pavilion to arrange his blood samples in more than a dozen star fields to disrupt the divination of the Xianren clan's divination monks. This is not that Su Fan is timid, but he is lenient with the enemy. This time he has completely angered the Xianren clan. When have these narcissistic guys suffered such a big loss? If their fusion realm bosses lose their minds and attack him recklessly, he will definitely die miserably. If it is a high-level boss of other races, he will definitely not lose his mind easily, but the Xianren clan is not necessarily. At this time, how dare Su Fan gamble? So for safety reasons, it is better to find a place to hide first. Well, you've worked hard, fellow Taoist, can we make a move on your information? Okay. Su Fan recorded the entire process of his sacrifice of more than 1 million people in Zhongsun City with several recording instruments. He sold these images to Ruai Pavilion. It won't be long before the top leaders of the entire Jiaoxia world will see the Jingwen Human Bone Tower. Chapter 961. When has the celestial race ever been humiliated like this? In the following days, Su Fan settled down in this inconspicuous way. He was oblivious to the outside world and hardly left the house. Every day, he stayed in the secret realm with him to practice the dragon elephant swallowing yuan training blood mysterious art to refine his blood and ki for the 6th time. In his spare time, he would lie on a recliner by the pond next to the thatched cottage and drink spiritual tea comfortably. Sister Jen was responsible for Su Fan's daily life, and he lived a corrupt life of having everything he wanted. What he didn't know was that the outside world had exploded. Since the Ruai Pavilion sold the information that he had sacrificed more than 1 million Xianren monks in the Qianshan Star region and built a Jingwen Human Bone Tower with their bones to various forces, it immediately caused an uproar in the entire Jiaoxia realm. In the past tens of thousands of years, there has never been such a cruel and ruthless person in the Jiaoxu realm. Su Fan was also cruel enough. He recorded the entire process of the sacrifice with a recording instrument. Anyone who has seen this video will be horrified and frightened. Although the cultivators of all races in Jiaoxu realm do not like the Celestials, they still feel bad that more than 1 million Celestials were sacrificed alive. Why did you provoke the big devil? In fact, the grudge between Su Fan and the Celestials has long been no secret. The cause was that in the falling star ruins, Su Fan not only ruined the good things of the Celestials, but also killed hundreds of elite cultivators of the Celestials. It is said that several star regions enter a secret realm together for trials, and everyone fights in the secret realm with their own abilities. In the past, in this situation, as long as they leave the secret realm, both sides will put aside their grudges. Who knew that in order to avenge Su Fan, the high-level Celestials hunted him down several times, but each time they returned in defeat, and also lost a large number of elite children. Because Su Fan has been dealing with enemies such as Wangchuan Palace and Wu Aidao, he has never taken the time to retaliate against the Celestials. Later, several of his enemies resolved their grievances with him one after another, and Su Fan finally killed his way to the Xianren clan's home nest, Qianshan Star region. This grievance was actually caused by the Xianren clan, who repeatedly sent elite disciples to hunt down Su Fan. No matter who it was, this matter would be anxious. Why? Just because you are noble. The Xianren clan is also used to being arrogant and domineering, and this ethnic group is extremely narcissistic. In their eyes, all other races are inferior. But who would have thought that this time the Xianren clan kicked the iron plate? Who is Su Fan? He is a cruel and violent killing god, and he is also the most rebellious monster in the Jiaoxu realm for tens of thousands of years. The Xianren clan always claims to be a god. But this big devil doesn't care what kind of god you are. If you provoke him, he dares to cut the king of heaven. Now you know the pain. Being killed by others, more than 1 million monks were sacrificed alive by that big devil. Now the people who feel most fortunate are the high-level people of Wangchuan Palace and Wu Aidao. When they decided to settle the feud with Su Fan, some people were against it. But when those people watched this video, they were so scared that they felt cold all over. As this matter continued to ferment in Jiaoxu realm, Ruai Pavilion also made a lot of money with this exclusive information. Since Ruai Pavilion released the news of this exclusive information, there has been an endless stream of clans, families and major forces coming to buy this video. In the end, some star regions even released this video directly on the screen. The top leaders of the Xianren clan originally wanted to conceal this matter, but who would have thought that Su Fan was so ruthless, which was equivalent to rubbing the face of the Xianren clan on the ground. How could the narcissistic Xianren clan feel? For so many years, when has the Xianren clan been humiliated like this? If it was just humiliated by Su Fan, it would not be a big deal, and it would be over if they endured it. After all, this matter has not hurt the foundation of the Xianren clan. But since this video was leaked, the star regions around Qianshan Star region have all begun to stir. The Celestials have occupied such a rich star field, and many surrounding star fields have long coveted it. In the past few hundred years, many star fields have been constantly infiltrating the Qianshan Star field, and even the riots in many areas of the Qianshan Star field were supported by them. Especially when Su Fan released the news that he was going to kill the Qianshan Star field to take crazy revenge on the Celestials, the riots in various planes of the Qianshan Star field became more and more frequent. When this video of Su Fan was leaked, it also made those star fields that coveted the Qianshan Star field excited. This also made them see the fragility of the Celestials' ruling structure in the Qianshan Star field. In fact, at the root, it is still because the population of the Celestials is too small, but they still cling to the entire Qianshan Star field and disperse the entire tribe in various planes, which is very easy to fall into the dilemma of being defeated one by one. So in recent months, the top leaders of various star fields around the Qianshan Star field have begun to communicate and run around constantly, and more than 10 secret gatherings have been organized. At this time, the leaders of the celestial race were focusing all their energy on how to capture Su Fan, and they were not aware of the crisis. Moreover, the celestial race was narcissistic and looked down on other races. They had very little communication with the surrounding star regions. Therefore, the celestial race leaders were slow to react to the changes in the situation around the Qianshan Star region. In the early morning, The sun broke through the gaps in the clouds, casting a golden dawn light, covering the entire Fian village with a layer of tranquility. Su Fan sat cross-legged by the pond next to the thatched cottage, practicing the dragon elephant swallowing yuan training blood mysterious art to refine the blood in his body for the 6th round. Refining the blood in the body cannot be impatient, it is a slow and steady effort, relying on accumulation over time. Now he practices once in the morning, noon and evening every day. In his spare time, he practices the soul technique and recites the Vajra Deliverance Day Unlan Sutra several times. Su Fan let out a long breath and finally completed the morning practice. The process of tempering his own ki and blood was quite difficult, that is to say. He had already made his body extremely strong. If it were someone else, he would not be able to survive even one round. At this time, Sister Zhen floated over from a distance, and swiftly brewed a pot of spiritual tea for him. She poured a cup for Su Fan, placed it in front of his desk, and then hugged her master's arm. "Master, breakfast is ready." Su Fan hugged her with his hands, then shook his head. "I'll sit down for a while, and eat later." At this time, a jade talisman on his waist vibrated slightly. He took it off and found that it was a message from Zhu Ming of Huangquan Tower. "Zigu, you are too powerful. You actually killed your way to Qianshan Star region. I had something to do yesterday, so this chapter will be posted today. Please understand." Chapter 962, Qianshan Star region may be in chaos. Su Fan smiled when he saw the message from Zhu Ming. Although this guy said so, in fact, the meaning behind his words was a bit sour. After all, this video was transmitted through the Ruai Pavilion, and the Huangquan Tower was not aware of it before. Well, actually, I have been preparing for it. I took advantage of the slackness of the Xianren clan to launch a revenge. Zigu, next time you go there, you can find the organization, you can pull a few tricks. Your Huangquan Tower intelligence system is like a sieve. Before I arrived in Qianshan Star region, it must be made known to everyone. In order to keep it confidential, I didn't mention this matter to the organization. Su Fan replied in a humble and neither humble nor arrogant way, which made Zhu Ming not reply for a long time. This guy certainly knew the situation of the Huangquan Tower intelligence system. Even if Zhu Ming was shameless, he was embarrassed to mention this matter again. "Zigu, next time if you need help from the organization, just ask. What Ruai Pavilion can do, we Huangquan Tower can also do." Su Fan laughed when he saw Zhu Ming's message. It seems that his guess was right. The top management of Huangquan Tower was worried that he would get too close to Ruai Pavilion and be lured away by the other party. In fact, the top management of Huangquan Tower really thought too much. Su Fan didn't need to do that. "Don't worry, I'm just a customer of Ruai Pavilion, buying intelligence from them." "Zigu, why spend that money in vain? We Huangquan Tower usually provide intelligence to members of the organization for free, and high-value intelligence can be exchanged for good deeds. Forget it, I still owe you Huangquan Tower more than 10,000 good deeds. Generally, that kind of free intelligence is probably useless. The information I want is very important, it shouldn't be free, and I still owe the organization a lot of good deeds." "Zigu, I forgot to tell you that the organization's top leaders just told me that the good deeds you owed will be written off, and the organization will not assign you any mandatory tasks in the future." "That's about right. It seems that what I did in Qianshan Star region this time has made the top leaders of Huangquan Tower pay more attention to me. However, forget about the intelligence system of Huangquan Tower. It has been rotten for a long time, so how can I count on them?" Maybe he just reported the information he wanted, and the news leaked out. Thinking of this, Su Fan suddenly had an idea in his mind. "Well, I may have to trouble the organization next time, but don't blame me, no problem, as long as it is the information you want, the organization will definitely use the greatest resources, and help you collect all kinds of information for free." Su Fan chatted with Zhu Ming for a few more words, and then put away the jade talisman of Huangquan Tower. He thought about it, took off the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion from his waist, and then sent a message to Qin Yu. "Qin Yu, how is the exclusive intelligence I gave you selling?" "Devours, I haven't counted it specifically, but there are a lot of people who bought it. How can I transfer your copy to you?" "Still the same as before, leave it with you." "Okay, Devours, don't worry, there will be absolutely no mistakes." "What's the situation outside now?" "Your image has caused a sensation in Jiaoxu realm. It is said that the high-level officials of the celestial race have become angry and embarrassed. However, I received a message. I don't know if it is useful to you. Tell me. Several of my subordinates provided me with some information. The high-level monsters in several star fields around Kyanshan star field have been in frequent contact recently. If Daoyao is interested, I will send someone to help you find out on detail. Seeing the message sent by Qin Yu, Su Fan couldn't help but frown. This guy always tries to make himself buy intelligence from Ruai Pavilion. Ruai Pavilion is really a black shop. In fact, he can roughly guess the intentions of those star fields. It is estimated that they have had ideas about Kyanshan star field for a long time. This time, Su Fan easily found loopholes in the fiefdoms of the Celestials, and brutally swept through Hongsuan City in the western region of Roland Heaven and dozens of towns and fiefdoms around it. This also made some star regions around the Kyanshan star region start to think about it. Thinking of this, Su Fan's heart moved. He wrote down the whole process of his infiltration into Roland Heaven this time, as well as the various loopholes in the fiefdoms of the Celestials, and then sent it to Qin Yu. Qin Yu, you tried to sell this information to the high-level officials of those star regions. Damn it, don't even think about making money from me. Not only can you not make money, I have to let you Ruai Pavilion help me make money. This time, I just want to make money lying down. Daoyao, don't worry, I will definitely help you sell it at a high price. Su Fan believed this. The information of Ruai Pavilion has always been valuable, and many of them are even sky-high. They play high-end games. Ordinary sects, families and underground forces can't afford the information of Ruai Pavilion at all. However, the information provided by Su Fan is definitely very valuable to the star fields around Kyanshan star field. His intuition tells him that those star fields may have long coveted the rich resources occupied by the Xianren clan. If those star fields really join hands to launch a surprise attack on Kyanshan star field, the fragile fiefdom structure of the Xianren clan will definitely be defeated. Before the top leaders of the Xianren clan can react, the Kyanshan star field may have lost most of its planes. If it is really as he judged, the Kyanshan star field may be in chaos. Then Su Fan can take advantage of this wave of chaos to severely mess with the Xianren clan. If that happens, the Xianren clan will have a hard time protecting themselves, so how can they care about chasing him around? At this moment, Shinluotian and Kyanshan star field is the headquarters of the Xianren clan, and the Elders Council of the clan is also located here. In a luxurious hall of Shinluo City, several Xianren clan's combined realm bosses are gathered here. Several late-stage fusion realm masters were sitting at the top, looking at the dozens of old monsters below with solemn faces. It's been so long, and Su Fan hasn't been found yet. An old man standing below heard this and hurriedly took a step forward. At this time, a late-stage fusion realm master at the top asked with a dignified look. That kid is too cunning. He hasn't shown up since he appeared in Luolanshan last time. At this time, another late-stage fusion realm master sitting at the top snorted coldly. HMPH. If we don't catch the kid, how will those lowly people in Jiaxu realm view our god clan? Now we have mobilized a large number of elite children in the clan, and even mobilized a large number of resources, but until today there is still little effect. A late-stage fusion realm master sitting at the top suddenly asked. Is there no way at all? At this time, someone in the crowd below suddenly said something. I have an idea and have sent people to do it, but I don't know if it can be done. Chapter 963. Do you like him? In the evening, Su Fan sat cross-legged by the pond next to the thatched cottage, practicing the dragon elephant swallowing yuan and training blood mysterious art to refine the blood in his body for the 6th round. After a while, he slowly opened his eyes and exhaled deeply. The process of refining the blood in the body is really too difficult. However, Su Fan never gave up and persisted every day with gritted teeth. After all, every time a round of blood refining is completed, the strength of the physical body will increase by more than double, and the spiritual consciousness can also be improved by 20% to 30%. Don't think that the increase is small. When a cultivator reaches the realm of transformation, the progress of cultivation is as slow as a snail, and the improvement of the physical body and spiritual consciousness is even slower. Moreover, through the practice of dragon elephant swallowing yuan and training blood mysterious art, the rounds of refining of the blood in the body also made his mana, blood and spiritual consciousness become more and more condensed. At this time, the communication array plate on Su Fan's waist vibrated slightly. He took it off and took a look, and found that it was a message from Luo Ziwen. Brother, You are so cruel. I just found out what you did in Kyanshan Star region. Sister, don't you have internet access? This matter has been spread all over Jiaxu realm for a long time. How did you just find out? This is just the beginning. There is a long time to come. I will fight with them and see who can outlast the other. I would have gone with you if I had known, but the ancestor didn't let me disturb you. Forget it. If I bring you with me, I can't do anything. Okay, wait for a chance in the future, brother. I'm leaving soon. There is no chance. Where are you? I'll go to find you. At this time, how could Su Fan let her come over? If he was found by the Celestials, he would not be afraid alone, but if he had the burden of the sister, he would not be able to move freely. The sister's identity is not simple. If she really falls into crisis, he can't afford it. Moreover, Su Fan owes the sister a lot of favors, so how could he let Luo Ziwen fall into danger? It's really not possible now. The Celestials are going crazy trying to find me. I dare not even show my face now. Luo Ziwen chatted with Su Fan for a few more words at a gathering place for scattered cultivators deep in the burial monster mountains, and then put away the communication array. She sat on the stool in front of the stall with her chin propped up, staring blankly at the pedestrians on the street, with a deep disappointment on her face. This gathering place for scattered cultivators is not large, with only 100 or so shops and hundreds of scattered stalls. However, the location here is good and it is quite lively on weekdays. There are all kinds of things for sale, and the scattered cultivators within thousands of miles around the gathering place regard this place as a foothold. Luo Ziwen and Jiang Yan have been staying in this gathering place for scattered cultivators for more than 2 years. In the past 2 years, the girl has had a lot of fun. Not only did she and Jiang Yan set up a stall at this gathering place, but she also often teamed up with other scattered cultivators to go hunting in the mountains. She even went to several dungeons with others and explored the ruins of several demon countries. In the past, no matter where Luo Ziwen went, she was always followed by a large group of people to protect her. She had never experienced such an exciting life. The Luo family ancestor was not worried about the girl's safety. He specially hired 2 old monsters in the refining void realm from the Loose Cultivator Alliance to follow her secretly. Moreover, she was a Yuanying realm cultivator disguised as a foundation-building cultivator, hanging out with a group of low-level loose cultivators every day. Anyway, there was no one else. The reason why the Luo family ancestor allowed a girl to do this was actually to let her play here for a while. It would save her from sneaking out by herself like last time. So the Luo family ancestor simply let her play enough at once, and take her home when the girl got tired of playing. At this time, Jiang Yan, who was next to her, had just sold a talisman and turned her head to look at Luo Ziwen. What's wrong with you? Who made you unhappy? Who else could it be? It's the big devil Su Fan. After hearing what the girl said, Jiang Yan chuckled. Do you like him? Luo Ziwen blushed and said, who said that? I don't like that big devil. Jiang Yan curled her lips and smiled. I don't know you. Isn't that big devil the villain you always hoped to meet? Before, I always wanted to see him. After I saw him, I wanted to be with him every day. At this point, Luo Ziwen sighed. Actually, I also know that there is no possibility for the 2 of us. The girl actually knew very well that the family would never let her be with that big devil. In the future, they would definitely marry with other families. This was related to the overall interests of the family, and even the ancestors could not speak for him. In fact, this time secretly running to the burial demon mountain range was also a wish he had fulfilled. At least he met that big devil. The 2 sat in front of the stall and chatted until the evening when they closed the stall and went home. Luo Ziwen and Jiang Yan have similar personalities and common hobbies, so they always have endless things to talk about every day. The 2 walked along the main street of the gathering point and came to the intersection of an alley. The yard they rented was in the alley. Luo Ziwen and Jiang Yan walked into the alley hand in hand. At first, they didn't feel anything, but after a few steps, the girl suddenly realized that something was wrong. She hurriedly stopped and turned her head to look at Jiang Yan beside her. You entered the secret realm first. Jiang Yan's realm was lower, and she didn't realize what was happening. Seeing Luo Ziwen's solemn face, she was immediately confused, so she asked, what's wrong? Before she finished speaking, Luo Ziwen interrupted her with a wave of his hand. Don't say anything, enter the secret realm immediately. Hearing Luo Ziwen's words, Jiang Yan knew that something might have happened. At this time, she couldn't help at all, so she didn't make trouble here. Her figure disappeared in the alley in an instant, and she had entered the girl's portable secret realm. Seeing Zhang Yan enter the secret realm, Luo Ziwen breathed a sigh of relief. Luo Ziwen looked around. They passed by this alley every day. Although it seemed that there was no change, she still saw a flaw. At this moment, time seemed to have stopped, and everything in the gathering point seemed to be frozen in a picture. Although the main street was still bustling with people and full of noisy sounds, the girl knew that all this was an illusion. Luo Ziwen knew that she had entered another space, as if she was isolated from the world. Which senior is here? I am honored, the girl shouted loudly, but unfortunately no one responded to her. Luo Ziwen took a deep breath, then stepped forward and continued to walk forward. Not long after walking, the scene in front of her changed instantly. At this time, she had come to a valley, where clouds and mists flowed and filled the peaks. From a distance, it looked like smoke rising. The scenery in the valley was beautiful, with a bend of streams, several shallow pools, shadowy pine forests, and a thatched cottage hidden in the depths of the woods in the distance. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 964 This is too weird. As soon as Luo Ziwen walked into the alley, her figure disappeared out of thin air. The intersection of the alley is also on the main street. There are people coming and going here, but no one noticed this strange thing. At this time, two old monsters in the refining void realm came to the intersection of the alley from two directions. The two looked at each other and saw surprise in each other's eyes. In the past 2 years, they have been protecting Luo Ziwen's safety nearby, but who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, the person had disappeared? This is too weird. A look of surprise appeared on their faces. The two exchanged glances, and then released their spiritual senses and began to scan around the gathering point. Unfortunately, the two scanned the area of thousands of miles around the gathering point back and forth several times, but still found Luo Ziwen's breath. They knew that the matter was serious, so they quickly contacted the ancestor of the Luo family and told him what had just happened. That was the sister of the big boss in the fusion realm. If something happened, no one could bear the responsibility. The next morning, the Luo family ancestor rushed to the gathering place of the scattered cultivators. In order to get back earlier, he almost stayed up all night. He walked into the alley with a gloomy face and frowned immediately. He sensed the breath of the girl outside the alley, but once he entered the alley, he could no longer sense it. The Luo family ancestor knew that the only one who could hide from the two cultivators of the refining void realm and kidnap the girl without anyone noticing could be a monster in the fusion realm. But in addition to the old ancestor of the Deadwood, their Luo family also offended other monsters in the fusion realm. In the next 2 days, the Luo family ancestors' footprints almost covered the entire Burial Demon Mountain range, but still could not find the breath of the girl. Luo Ziwen seemed to have disappeared out of thin air, as if he had never appeared in this world. Finally, the Luo family ancestor returned to the gathering place of scattered cultivators. He knew that no matter who the other party was and for what purpose, he would always contact him. He walked into the alley again and stood in the alley with his eyes closed. At this time, the ancestor of the Luo family was moved, but he felt it was unlikely. Because the people who knew about that matter, except for his old friend, no one else knew about it. No, there was also the cultivator of the refining void realm of Luoxia sect who knew about it. Thinking of this, the ancestor of the Luo family took off the communication array from his waist and sent a message. After a while, the other party replied. The person you asked about is dead. Not long ago, his life tablet in the sect was broken. Seeing this message, the ancestor of the Luo family finally confirmed his judgment. It seems that it is correct. The people who kidnapped the girl must be the guys of the Xianren clan. A surge of anger surged in the heart of the ancestor of the Luo family. He never thought that the Xianren clan would actually set their sights on him. In fact, it is no wonder that in order to find Su Fan's trace as soon as possible, the Xianren clan has done everything possible. The Jingwen human bone tower built by that kid in the Kaianshan Star region made the Xianren clan lose face in the entire Jiaoxu realm. This is absolutely a great shame for the narcissistic Xianren clan. The Luo family ancestor couldn't help but worry about the girl. Now the old guys of the Xianren clan have gone crazy. They can do anything. He has already reached the fusion realm, and he has no feelings for his blood relatives. But for some reason, he likes Luo Ziwen, the girl, and she is almost as good as his heart. He thought about it, picked up the communication array again, and prepared to send a message to Su Fan. However, in the end, he put the communication array away. The girl is his lifeblood, and he must not make any mistakes. Suddenly, the Luo family ancestor turned his head and looked into the distance, and then his figure disappeared from the air. When his figure appeared again, he was already thousands of miles away. In the distant sky, several Shinran clan fusion realm cultivators were floating there. Seeing the Luo family ancestor coming, the Shinran clan cultivator in the lead bowed to the Luo family ancestor. "I'm sorry for coming here this time, HMPH, the Luo family patriarch snorted coldly and said, I have no grudges against you Shinran clan. Why did you kidnap my Luo family's children, Devours? You are wrong. We just invited your little girl to visit our Kyanshan Star region and wanted to make a deal with you." The Luo family patriarch listened and said in a deep voice, "I have nothing to discuss with you. Send that girl back immediately, or you know the consequences. Devours, don't be anxious. Listen to me first." After the other party finished speaking, he took out a stored ring from his arms and threw it to the Luo family patriarch. "As long as you help us find that kid, the things in the storage ring will be yours, and we will reward you handsomely afterwards." The Luo family patriarch took the storage ring, scanned it with his spiritual sense, and his eyes suddenly lit up. It must be said that the Shinran clan really gave it all. Even such a top-grade treasure was taken out. This thing can be regarded as the treasure of the Shinran clan. Seeing the change in the expression of the Luo family patriarch, the other party hurriedly struck while the iron was hot and continued to tempt him. "Devours, after the matter is done, we will give you another treasure, which is more valuable than this one." The Luo family patriarch weighed the ring in his hand, and then said, "I agree to the transaction, but you must send the girl of our Luo family back immediately. Devours, rest assured, as long as you help us find that boy, the girl of the Luo family will be sent back immediately." After hearing the other party's words, the Luo family patriarch took a deep breath. "Okay, I agree to trade with you, but if you don't send that girl back, then I will kill you in the Kyanshan Star region." After he said that, he took off a jade talisman from his waist and threw it over. This is the mother talisman of a pair of mother and child concealing talismans. As long as you follow the aura on it, you can find the exact location of that boy. The fusion realm leader of the celestial race took the jade talisman and showed a look of surprise on his face. "Thank you, fellow Taoist. From now on, if you need help finding our celestial race, just let us know. We will do our best." After the other party finished speaking, several celestial race masters in the fusion realm disappeared into thin air. The Luo family patriarch glanced at the positions of several celestial race cultivators and sighed. He took out a jade talisman from his ring, which was exactly the same as the concealing jade talisman in Su Fan's hand. Through this jade talisman, the Luo family patriarch was able to calculate the position of the celestial race and Su Fan. At that time, it depends on whether you are smart or not. Chapter 965. That kid is too cunning. Wangjiao Star Region, Cultivation. Dozens of Shinran clan's refining void realm cultivators were hiding in a valley at this time. The leader was a half-step refining void master, who glanced at the group of fellows opposite with a serious look. "When will those two evil old demons arrive at Cultivation?" Reporting to Duke Huan, "I just contacted them, and they will arrive in Cultivation in 2 days at the earliest." After hearing the other party's words, Huan Lu snorted heavily. "Humph. So many of us have been waiting for them for several months, and it will take 2 days to arrive." At this point, Huan Lu thought for a while and said, "That kid didn't find anything unusual. Don't worry, Duke Huan, that kid has been staying in the market." Huan Lu nodded with satisfaction. Although everything went well at the moment, he was still uneasy. That kid was too cunning. Even if he felt a little bit of trouble, he would escape immediately. This time, the high-level officials of the Shinran clan spent a lot of manpower and material resources to deal with him. If we let this kid run away again this time, I'm afraid there will be no chance in the future. In order to deal with this little devil, the clan leaders even offended a big boss in the fusion realm. Although the big boss in the fusion realm chose to make a deal with the clan leaders for the safety of his descendants, how could the other party swallow this breath? However, in order to kill Su Fan, the top leaders of the Shinran clan no longer care about those. Not only that, The clan leaders searched the entire Jayaksa world and hired 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm. These 2 old demons in the fusion realm are both approaching their deadlines. Because the Shinran clan paid a reward that they could not refuse, and both of them wanted to leave a rich legacy for their descendants, they agreed to the Shinran clan's transaction conditions. The next 2 days will definitely be very difficult, even though hundreds of Liangsu clan members in the clan sneaked into Cultivation in batches. Several high-ranking members of the clan took out a large number of secret treasures that could conceal their auras, and asked hundreds of clan members to hide thousands of miles away from the small market town, and set up a net around the market town. But Huanlu knew very well that with so many cultivators in the refining void realm in the clan, they had no confidence in keeping the boy. Only when the 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm arrived at Cultivation, would they be able to kill Su Fan with absolute certainty. In the early morning, the morning light flooded over the earth like a tide, and wherever the sun passed, the whole world seemed to come alive. After breakfast, Su Fan sat cross-legged by the pond next to the thatched cottage, sipping spiritual tea leisurely. He had been in this small market town for nearly a year, and his life was very comfortable. Su Fan put down his teacup, then left the secret realm with him and came to the market town outside. For some reason, he felt a little irritable when he got up in the morning. Su Fan guessed that it might be because he had practiced a dragon elephant swallowing yuan training blood mysterious art for too long, so he planned to take a few days off before continuing to temper his blood. It is normal for a cultivator to encounter this situation when practicing. At this moment, all the casual cultivators in the market have already gotten up, and the streets are full of various stalls, and there is noisy noise everywhere. He has been staying in this small market for many years. In order not to arouse other people's suspicion, he has to find a way to make a living. So Su Fan became a talisman master again, and he would set up a stall on the street of the market every now and then. Now his identity is the Golden Core Realm, and no one in the market bothers him, so his life is quite comfortable. Uncle, I knew you would come today. I have already reserved a place for you. At this time, a little girl with 2 buns on her head was waving and shouting at him. Su Fan smiled, then came to the side of the little girl, spread a piece of animal skin, and took out various talismans from the ring and placed them on it. The little girl also went to help him, busying around him and making things worse. She was only about 10 years old, with a delicate and pretty face, especially a pair of big watery eyes, which made people love her. Because the little girl had learned to make talismans since she was a child, she often stayed by his side to ask him about various talisman knowledge. The 2 of them became familiar with each other. Su Fan liked this child very much, and every time he saw her, he would think of his little girl. As soon as Su Fan sat on the stool, the little girl ran back to the stall next to him and came back with a talisman. Uncle, this is the homework you left last time. Su Fan took the stack of talismans handed over by the little girl, and then carefully read each one. Although she was only 10 years old, she had a very good talent for making talismans, which was much better than him anyway. Su Fan explained to her the advantages and disadvantages of this talisman, and then taught her how to draw talismans step by step. After teaching the little girl to make talismans, he let her lie on the stall to continue drawing talismans. Although Su Fan's talent in the art of talismans is just average, he is a cultivator in the spiritualization realm after all, and he has also opened his eyes to the art of talismans. After so many years of accumulation, his attainments in the art of talismans have become very profound. At least it is more than enough to teach a little girl. Thank you, Senior. Yale has troubled you a lot. A cultivator in the foundation building stage at the stall next to him, who is also Yea's father, came to greet him. Since this senior came to the market, Yea has received a lot of his teachings. This is a favor of teaching. The other party took out a store drink from his arms and presented it with both hands. Senior, I went to Lushan Immortal City a few days ago and saw several top-quality talisman skins. Thinking that you might be able to use them, I bought them to honor you. Su Fan took the stored ring and scanned it with his spiritual sense. Although the several top-quality talisman skins in the storage ring were nothing in his eyes, they were definitely worth a lot to Yea's father. He didn't hesitate and put the storage ring away directly. This filial gift must be accepted, otherwise the other party will misunderstand. What is he trying to achieve by teaching other people's daughters for no reason? You are thoughtful. Yea's father is quite good at dealing with people. He would find ways to buy some cultivation resources and send them to her every month. Since his daughter accepted the teachings of this senior, Her level of talisman cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds. He knows in his heart that meeting this senior is definitely the greatest opportunity in his daughter's life. Not only Aya, but also many talisman masters in the market often come to him for advice. Su Fan will patiently answer their questions. Every time he comes out to set up a stall, his stall has the best business in the market. Even many casual cultivators from other places will come from far away to buy his talismans. Fortunately, Su Fan only sets up a stall a few times a month, and he leaves when the talismans on the stall are sold out, so it does not affect the business of other talisman masters in the market. Su Fan has profound attainments in the art of talismans and is usually very kind, so he is very popular in this small market. A small family near the market also had their eyes on him. But who knew that their ancestor died inexplicably outside, and the family was also besieged by other forces, so they no longer had the energy to make things difficult for him. Today, Su Fan's stall was doing very good business. Before noon, the talismans on the stall were sold out, and he began to pack up and leave. "Yeah, I assigned you homework, you must complete it when you go back," Su Fan greeted Jaya, who was reluctant to leave, and then walked towards his residence. Buzz! Suddenly, a jade talisman on his waist made a violent buzzing sound. Su Fan felt a heat flow throughout his body like an electric current, which made him shudder. He calmly took off the jade talisman that isolated the key from the ancestor of the Luo family from his waist, and his face had become extremely gloomy. Chapter 966. If that's the case, let's fight our way out. Pa! Without even thinking, Su Fan crushed the jade talisman in his hand, and then threw the powder at his feet. He knew that he was careless this time. He knew the only hidden danger of this jade talisman, but he didn't have any defense at all. This old guy has sold him out. Su Fan didn't know why the Luo family ancestor used this jade talisman to warn him. His intuition told him that he might have fallen into danger. The Celestials already knew his exact location, and might even have set up a net around this market. Su Fan's eyes condensed, and he completely let go of his spiritual sense. His spiritual sense scanned back and forth in the market several times, and finally made him notice something strange. Su Fan sneered, and then his eyes condensed. Bang! Bang! The heads of several casual cultivators who set up stalls on both sides of the street in the market exploded, causing an uproar among the casual cultivators around them. At this time, Su Fan was not going to hide it anymore. He raised his hand slightly, and several jade talismans were sucked into his hand from the dead casual cultivators. Looking at the jade talismans in his hand, Su Fan frowned immediately. Although these jade talismans seemed insignificant, when he scanned them with his spiritual sense, he found that they were not that simple. The function of these jade talismans was to isolate the hostility of the cultivators and reduce the vigilance of the opponents. In addition, the people who monitored him were originally low-level casual cultivators in the market, which made him lose his previous sensitivity to crises. The celestial race was really willing to give up. These jade talismans were at least 8th level top-grade immortal artifacts. Any one of them taken outside would be a priceless top-grade magic weapon. Boom! Boom! Suddenly, 4 extremely thick golden light pillars shot up into the sky in an instant, emitting dazzling golden light, rendering the entire world golden. Looking at the 4 golden light pillars that shot up into the sky around the market, Su Fan sneered. His guess was correct. The celestial race may have been laying out in King Luo Ocean for a long time. Although Su Fan didn't know what the 4 golden light pillars rising into the sky in the distance were, he knew that it was too late to use the escape technique at this moment. In this case, let's just kill them. At this moment, the heads of several casual cultivators exploded inexplicably, and the 4 light pillars rising into the sky in the distance made the market suddenly chaotic. Devours, why are you killing people in the street in my Ruiafang? At this time, the Yuanying realm cultivator who was guarding the market was already suspended above the market, looking down at Su Fan. You have nothing to do here, get out of here. After hearing Su Fan's scolding, the Yuanying cultivator was furious. He was about to take Su Fan down, but found that a terrifying aura like destroying the world was spreading over him. Bang! He felt dizzy and fell from the air, landing heavily on the ground. Su Fan didn't want to make things difficult for these casual cultivators in the market, but slowly walked out of the market. He completely released his spiritual sense, and took in all the movements within a radius of thousands of miles, but he didn't find any trace of danger. The Celestials had planned everything to deal with him. No wonder he had no sense of crisis at all. And let these guys successfully set up a killing situation under his nose. At this moment, All the casual cultivators in the market looked at him with horror. They never thought that the amiable senior in the giant realm would suddenly burst out with such a terrifying murderous aura. When Su Fan walked to Yaya, he stopped and turned his head to look at the little girl in her father's arms. The little girl was not afraid at all, and looked at Su Fan with a pair of big eyes. She was still wondering in her heart, why is daddy afraid of the uncle? Su Fan smiled bitterly, then took out a storage ring and threw it to Yaya's father. This is what I gave to Yaya. She has a good talent in the art of talismans. The ring contained a set of talisman inheritance from a super immortal sect, a set of top quality talisman making tools, his experience in the art of talismans over the years, and a large number of top quality talisman materials. I hope the little girl can achieve something in the art of talismans in the future. Yaya's father took the ring, scanned it with his spiritual sense, and was immediately excited. He put the little girl down, made her kneel on the ground, held her head and kowtowed to Su Fan more than 10 times. Senior, I will never forget your kindness. Su Fan ignored him, nodded to Yaya with a smile, and then continued to walk out of the market. Senior, can I know your name? At this time, the nascent soul cultivator who fell from the air struggled to get up from the ground, then turned over and knelt on the ground. Su Fan turned his head and looked at him expressionlessly. I am Su Fan, what else do you want to know? Hearing his words, the whole market exploded, and everyone subconsciously knelt down and buried their heads deeply in the ground. The Yuanying realm cultivator was even worse, his eyes rolled back and he fainted directly from fear. Perhaps the only one who was not afraid in the whole market at this time was Yaya. Even the little girl's father, when he heard the name Su Fan, his legs began to shake, and he felt a chill rising from the bottom of his heart and rushing straight to the back of his mind. Who is Su Fan? He is a ruthless man who sacrificed more than 1 million Shinran cultivators alive. Just now, there were some people in the market who had evil thoughts about the ring in Yaya's father's hand, but now they dared not have any bad thoughts. Let alone other things, based on the relationship between Yaya and Su Fan, let alone Qinglu Ocean, even the entire Wangjiao Star region will not dare to touch this little girl. What a joke, she is Su Fan's half-disciple. Who dares to bully this little girl? Doesn't she want to live? Yaya looked at Su Fan's back getting farther and farther away, turned her head and asked her father. Dad, will uncle come back to see me in the future? The little girl's father heard it and smiled bitterly. This silly child. That's Su Fan. It's a blessing to be able to see him once in this life. How could he come to such a small place again? The father was also secretly sighing. He didn't know what blessing his daughter had in her previous life to have such a relationship with that big devil. Just now he was still worried that someone would have bad intentions towards them, but now he doesn't have to be afraid. It may not be long before many immortal sects or demon sects come to the door and take Yaya into the sect. There are even many people who come to matchmake for their daughter. After all, a girl who can have a relationship with Su Fan must be taken seriously by everyone. This little girl is a talisman. Chapter 967, I can only swallow my anger. Su Fan took 2 more steps on the street of Fangxi, and his figure disappeared from the spot. When he appeared again, he was already floating in the sky. He raised his head and looked at the sky above his head with a solemn face, and saw the faint golden light. It seems that the Xianren clan had already arranged a formation around Fangxi. The 4 golden light pillars that shot up into the sky were relying on the power of the upper realm. At this moment, Huan Lu had received the news that Su Fan had discovered their arrangement. He couldn't help but sighed. It was only 2 days before the 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm could reach Qinglu Ocean. Hundreds of fellow tribesmen had been very careful, but they were still discovered by this kid. Now no matter what, even if hundreds of fellow tribesmen in the refining void realm fought to death, they had to keep this kid in Qinglu Ocean. Thinking of this, Huan Lu directly issued an attack decree. Boom, with a loud noise that shook the earth. The 4 golden light pillars that fell from the sky suddenly shone brightly. Then, 4 golden light pillars supported a golden formation, completely covering an area of nearly 10,000 miles. Since Su Fan had discovered them, the group of the Celestials would not pretend. Huan Lu led hundreds of Celestials refining realm cultivators, and they all rose from their hiding places and guarded around the golden formation. Looking at the golden shield covering his head, Su Fan's face became solemn. This is a 9th level golden light formation. With his current strength, he couldn't break the 9th level formation even if he died of exhaustion. At this time, the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion on Su Fan's waist vibrated slightly. He took off the J talisman from his waist and saw a message from Qin Yu, and frowned immediately. Devours, I just got the information that the Celestials have hired 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm and are going to Cultivation to deal with you. The Celestials have done everything they can to deal with him. Although the Celestials are very wealthy, hiring 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm will cost a lot of money. How long will it take for those 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm to reach Cultivation? According to the latest intelligence, we only know that the 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm are on their way to Cultivation, but we don't know when they will arrive. After reading the message sent by Qin Yu, the Celestials wanted to trap him here. The most urgent thing now is to break this 9th level formation and then run as far as possible. Those are 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm. Let alone let Su Fan fight, he didn't even have the thought of resisting. They killed him like pinching an ant to death, and they could blow him to pieces with a breath. At this time, Su Fan couldn't care less, and he could only ask for help from the big boss of the Woman Upper Realm. Senior, can you help me break this 9th level formation? 9 level formations are not easy to break, damn. He knew that this old bastard would definitely take advantage of the fire to rob him. However, from what he said, there should be a way to break this 9th level golden light formation, which also made Su Fan feel relieved. In this case, it doesn't matter if he gets slaughtered once. If he delays any longer, when the 2 evil old demons of the fusion realm arrive at Cultivation, he will definitely die. Senior, just tell me the price. Then, Su Fan started bargaining with the Woman Upper Realm boss. Unfortunately, he was always in a passive situation, and was slaughtered by the old guy in the end. Not only did he sacrifice the chips of more than 1 million Shinran cultivators, but he also owed the other party hundreds of corpses of Liangsu realm cultivators. There was no way, the situation was critical now. He could only swallow his anger. Fortunately, the Woman Upper Realm boss had one good thing. As long as he took out enough chips, he could solve your problems. He was absolutely honest. After all, it's a 9th level formation. I can only help you count the breaths. You only have one chance, and you must show your strongest state. This is fucking. I paid so much, and I still have to use my strongest state. It would be fine if he activated the demon eye body, but if he used the blood explosion and burning secret method again, he would only have a few dozen breaths to fight. Okay, let's fight once. As long as we can break this 9th order formation, it's worth it at any cost, as it concerns our own life. Thinking of this, Su Fan's eyes condensed and he activated the demonized body. The thick black mist that suddenly filled his body suddenly boiled up. The huge demon body continued to grow, and in a blink of an eye, it had reached hundreds of feet high. Lines of fine black scales surged wildly on the demon body, constantly emerging from every corner, bursting out with incomparable terrifying power. One by one, hideous bone spurs squeezed out from every joint, and each key part formed a piece of rough armor. The huge head was covered with long hair, and the hair, as thick as a finger, was like tough steel wire. 2 hideous horns grew on both sides of the forehead. Moreover, a vertical eye opened between his eyebrows, flashing with a resentful light, revealing a terrible evil power. Ouch! Su Fan's demon body roared to the sky, and the evil power like a tide suddenly swept out. This terrifying sound was heard from far away, with a faint low wail, a gloomy breath and a fierce killing intent. Now Su Fan has completed the 5th round of tempering of the blood and ki in his body by practicing the dragon elephant swallowing yuan, training blood mysterious art. Compared with the past, his strength has increased several times. But this is not his strongest state. Su Fan's eyes condensed and activated the explosion blood-burning secret method. At this moment, his eyes were red like blood, and blood began to permeate his whole body, and his skin was constantly cracking. Su Fan thought, and a black magic sword several dozen feet long appeared in his hand. Ouch! He roared to the sky again, and an extremely resentful and suppressed breath spread instantly. At this moment, the time of the whole world seemed to have stopped, and an extremely oppressive atmosphere permeated the surroundings. The area of more than 10,000 miles in radius suddenly fell into a dark world full of resentment, malice, curses and anger. The hundreds of Shinran clans refining realm monks around the 9th level formation also seemed to be in an endless hell. There is no hope or sunshine here, only eternal sinking and boundless fear. Everywhere is filled with death, pain, despair, wailing, shrillness and other negative atmospheres. Their emotions became anxious, and an extremely resentful atmosphere rose from the bottom of their hearts. All kinds of sadness, annoyance, sadness, anxiety, inferiority, depression, pessimism, despair and other negative emotions, like playing a movie, frame by frame of horror pictures flashed through their minds. Chapter 968 Losing both the wife and the army. Su Fan's understanding of the power of the law is now different from before. With a thought, a vast area of 10,000 miles can be instantly engulfed in the power of the law of anger. This terrifying power of the law has caused all the Shinran cultivators to fall into the turbulent vibration of the world. Hundreds of Shinran cultivators in the refining void realm, including Huan Lu, have also been affected by this angry power of the law. Not good. Everyone be careful, he is accumulating strength, this is the power of the law. Huan Lu was the first to wake up from the power of the law, and hurriedly reminded hundreds of fellows around him loudly. But despite his constant shouting, most people still did not wake up from this angry power of the law. Their rationality had long been gone, and only endless resentment and various negative emotions were left in their minds. They had become a demonized body that only knew how to kill. Even those who recovered from the influence of the power of the law, Su Fan only took a few breaths to complete the accumulation of strength. Almost at the same time, an extremely thick blood-colored light column fell from the sky and instantly enveloped Su Fan. Su Fan felt a cool breath pouring into his body from the top of his head, and then turned into hot breaths that exploded in his body. Right now. Su Fan didn't even think about it, and slashed at a golden pillar of light in the distance with his sword. Rage slash. As a flash of sword light passed, the resentment and sorrow that had accumulated in Su Fan's chest also vented with his sword. This sword light, with a terrifying momentum, roared down at this moment. The incomparably mighty power of heaven and earth instantly penetrated hundreds of miles of the sky and slashed towards the golden pillar of light in the distance. A boundless momentum rose to the sky, as if the light that cut the entire world in half rose from the sky and roared down. The entire sky seemed to collapse at this moment. The terrifying momentum that rolled over like a tidal wave gave endless pressure to all living things in the world. Boom! The terrifying sword light slashed at the golden light column, and suddenly there was a loud noise that shook the world. Like Mars hitting the Earth, it caused a huge explosion that almost overturned the entire sky. The whole sky dimmed at this moment. A shock wave like a tsunami, forming a terrifying storm that raged wildly, and the aftermath of the explosion was like a tsunami, sweeping thousands of miles away. The extremely thick golden light column collapsed and dissipated in an instant, and the golden shield covering an area of more than 10,000 miles also spread out like a dense spider web. Boom! Immediately afterwards, with a dull loud noise, the golden shield also collapsed and exploded, and disappeared in an instant. Whirlwind slash. Su Fan didn't wait for this 9th level formation to completely collapse, and he swung the sword in his hand in a full circle. Boom! Endless airflow spun wildly around Su Fan, instantly forming a terrifying storm like a tsunami. With a loud explosion that shook the world, the sky and the earth changed color, as if the whole world was collapsing. With Su Fan as the center, it seemed to have turned into an endless eye of the storm, bursting out with a powerful force like a tidal wave, and crushed down in all directions. At this moment, most of the hundreds of Shinran clan cultivators in the refining void realm were trapped in the power of the law that Su Fan had just arrived. With a flash of sword light, the data of those Shinran clan cultivators who were still sinking in the atmosphere of the law were swept into the violent hurricane. Then, one by one, they were swallowed by the terrifying storm, and were instantly shattered, turning into a bloody rain. After performing the second sword, Su Fan took out a riding the wind and moving immortal talisman from the ring, and then input mana to activate the talisman. Buzz! With a buzzing sound, Su Fan had disappeared from the spot. When the terrifying hurricane blew past, Huan Lao soared into the sky, suspended in the sky and looked down at the situation on the ground. Hundreds of fellow cultivators in the refining void realm were almost wiped out. The few who survived were also seriously injured and no longer had the strength to fight. Huan Lu's face was extremely gloomy. This time, he really lost both his wife and his army. Not only did he lose hundreds of fellow cultivators in the refining void realm, but he also let that kid escape. The two evil old demons in the fusion realm will not arrive at Kinglo Ocean until 2 days later. It is better to rely on himself than to rely on them. Huan Lu didn't know how to explain to the high-level people in the clan when he returned. Anyway, no matter what happened, he couldn't escape the blame. Hundreds of fellow cultivators in the refining void realm died on the spot, and the plan to surround and kill Su Fan was aborted. After returning to the clan, Punishment would definitely be inevitable. At this moment, Su Fan was paralyzed in a dense forest, his body stuck in the dense branches and couldn't go up or down. Although the riding the wind 10,000 miles Great Migration Immortal Talisman can instantly escape more than 1,000,000 miles, it can't control the landing point. If you are unlucky and escape into the space crack, it will only be a dead end. After the blood explosion and burning secret method ended, the side effects have begun to appear. Su Fan felt that his physical body, mana, blood, and spiritual consciousness were all declining significantly. Now his strength has at least gone 80% to 90%. He completely let go of his spiritual consciousness and scanned the surrounding thousands of miles of mountains and forests back and forth several times. Su Fan was relieved until he found that there was no danger nearby. Now with his strength, even if he encountered a 6th level monster, he could be torn to pieces. Su Fan grinned and squeezed out from the branches of the ancient tree with difficulty, and then jumped to the top of the ancient tree. Su Fan found a thick branch and sat down, then took off the J talisman of Ruai Pavilion from his waist and sent a message to Qin Yu. Qin Yu, help me contact a flying boat, I want to leave Qinglu Ocean immediately. Devours, don't worry, I will arrange it for you immediately. Where are you? How the hell do I know where I am? But fortunately, he has a map of Qinglu Ocean. He took out the map and searched carefully, and finally found his location. After he reported his location, he sent it to Qin Yu. After a while, Qin Yu replied, Devours, I will arrange a flying boat to pick you up. When will the flying boat arrive? Devours, the flying boat will arrive at your area tomorrow morning at the latest. Fortunately, he is now a gold medal customer of Ruai Pavilion, otherwise he really does not have the authority to use the smuggled flying boat. While waiting for the flying boat, Su Fan began to reflect on the lessons learned from this crisis. In this world of cultivation, even the big guys in the fusion realm are so unreliable, and you must never trust anyone in the future. And never expect anyone to help you, you have to rely on yourself for everything. This time it was really suspenseful. Those were 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm. Killing them was like playing. If it weren't for the timely reminder of the Luo family ancestor, he might have really died. What Su Fan couldn't figure out was that this old guy had already betrayed him, so why did he warn him? He felt that there must be something hidden here, and the Luo family ancestor was probably threatened by the Shinrin clan. Chapter 969. Is this a bit too much? At this moment, 2 evil old demons of the fusion realm were suspended in the sky, looking down at the battlefield below. This kid is incredible. He has the cultivation of the spiritualization realm, but he actually broke out of the 9th level formation. The person who spoke was called Zuanayan Ghost King. His voice was hoarse, like someone tearing brown paper. Jiu Mo Patriarch heard it and laughed. He must have used other means. Do you smell a hint of witchcraft? Zuanayan Ghost King turned his head and glanced at the Celestial Clan cultivators in the distance. Old Ghost, we came all the way here, and it was a wasted trip. Shouldn't they give us an explanation? Jiu Mo Patriarch laughed and said, then add more money, that's not good. They gave enough. Zuanayan Ghost King could still have some face. After all, the Celestial Clan gave too much? Hearing Zuanayan Ghost King say this, Jiu Mo Patriarch snorted coldly. It was the celestial race that failed to stop the boy. We arrived as scheduled. What does it have to do with us? Old Ancestor Jimo didn't care about that. After all, they were the only old monsters in the fusion realm who were willing to take this job in the Jiaxu realm. They took this job just to get more money. Why should they have any shame? The Ghost King of Zuanayan nodded and said, yes, that's what I mean. We rushed here in a hurry, but the man was gone. Isn't this just a fool? We must pay more. At this time, Huan Lu came in front of them and bowed to the 2 of them. Huan Lu of the celestial race, I pay my respects to the 2 gods. Old Ancestor Jimo waved his hand and frowned, saying, where is that kid? Don't tell me he ran away. Huan Lu smiled bitterly and said, we had already made arrangements, but who knew that the kid noticed the crisis yesterday? Old Ancestor Jimo glanced at Huan Lu and smiled sinisterly. We agreed to help you once, but you are useless. We came all the way here, and you told me that the person ran away. Then there is no need for us to stay here any longer. Seeing the 2 old demons were about to leave, Huan Lu was immediately anxious. He had to rely on them in the future. 2 gods, you can't leave. We will find the boy's trace as soon as possible. That's your business, and has nothing to do with us. No. Didn't we agree before that we are responsible for finding the boy, and the two gods will kill the little demon, aren't we here? But where is the person? Huan Lu was speechless when asked. He knew that the two old monsters were playing rogue, but he didn't dare to say it in front of them. He had never seen such a shameless fusion master. At the beginning, the two sides had agreed that the two old demons would help them kill Su Fan, and the Xianren clan paid a lot of money for this. Who knew that the two old demons turned their faces and refused to admit it, and actually said that they only took action once. This is also because the celestial race has little knowledge. On weekdays, they are too narcissistic, always feel that they are superior to others, and simply disdain to communicate with other races. Although most of the big guys in the fusion realm care about their status and will not go back on their words, the evil old demon doesn't care about that. They deserve to be blackmailed by the two old demons. Although Huan Lu felt aggrieved, he knew in his heart that he really couldn't do anything to these two tough guys. It seems that the clan will definitely bleed again this time. Thinking of this, Huan Lu sighed. He could only report this matter to the clan's senior leaders and let them negotiate with the two old demons. Please wait a moment, my two gods, I will report to the clan. Looking at Huan Lu's back as he walked away, old ancestor Jimo laughed. That kid is very cunning. The guys of the celestial race want to find him, just wait. He knew in his heart that the kid was carrying a demon seed, and the big guy in the fusion realm would go to the upper realm in the future, so of course he didn't want to get involved in this cause and effect. The old demons in the upper realm of the demon sect are all moody. Who knows which old demon in the upper realm sowed the seeds for Su Fan? Now, in the entire Jiaoxia realm, there are really few big men in the fusion realm who can take on this business, except for the two of them. At this time, if he doesn't blackmail the celestial race, it would be unworthy of his identity as an evil old demon. Zuan Ghost King was stunned when he heard it. So what you mean is that we go there once, no matter whether that kid is there or not, the celestial race has to pay a bill once. Isn't this a bit too much? Jiu Mo Patriarch turned his head and looked at Zuan Ghost King with disgust. What do you think? Zuan Ghost King was stunned for a while, and then nodded vigorously with ecstasy on his face. I think so too. At this moment, Su Fan had already boarded the flying boat arranged by Ruai Pavilion and left Qinglu Ocean. A flying boat like the one he took that can travel across star fields is not something that ordinary forces can afford. This kind of flying boat is not only extremely expensive, but the annual maintenance fee alone can buy several ordinary flying boats. Moreover, it is not enough to have this kind of flying boat across the star domain, but also to build a large number of space gates across the star domain. Even for a powerful force like Ruai Pavilion, there are not many such cross-domain flying boats, and the space gates for cross-domain smuggling are also shared with several powerful underground forces. If Su Fan is not a gold medal customer, he is not qualified to ride this kind of flying boat at all. However, the cost of riding this kind of cross-domain flying boat is also staggering. Anyway, until now, Su Fan's heart is still bleeding. At this time, he was sitting cross-legged in an extremely luxurious cabin, with his eyes closed and practicing Qigong to heal his wounds. After living for a while, Su Fan opened his eyes and exhaled a long breath of turbid air. The explosion blood-burning secret method is really too pitfall, so it is better to use it as little as possible in the future. Every time this wasteful method is activated, his strength will drop significantly in the next few months. Moreover, performing the blood explosion and burning secret method would cause him to lose a lot of ki and blood, and also cause damage to his physical body. It would even damage the meridians and danshin in his body, affecting his cultivation foundation. Fortunately, this time he was lucky. Although Su Fan's injuries were serious, they did not damage Su Fan's cultivation foundation. This was a blessing in disguise. At this time, a jade talisman on his waist vibrated slightly. Su Fan took off the jade talisman from his waist and found that it was a message from Qin Yu of Ruai Pavilion. Devours, a gold medal customer of our Ruai Pavilion, asked me to bring you a message. If you don't want to pay attention, I will immediately reject the other party. Seeing Qin Yu's message, Su Fan frowned immediately. But he only thought about it for a few breaths, and roughly guessed who the other party was. It was probably the ancestor of the Luo family. Chapter 970. My fate is in my own hands. If God wants to destroy me, I will destroy God. If it were in the past, Su Fan would definitely ignore the other party. Who the hell are you? You just want to talk to me. But this time Su Fan hesitated. What he wanted to know now was why the Luo family ancestor warned him again when he had already betrayed him. Thinking of this, Su Fan replied to Qin Yu with a message. This golden customer of your Ruai pavilion, he's the Luo family ancestor, Devours. I knew you could guess. Do you agree to contact him? Let him contact me. After a while, Qin Yu replied with a message. Devours, I have connected you to the other party, you can communicate. After Qin Yu sent this message, he connected him to the Luo family ancestor. Boy, I told the Xianren clan your location. Su Fan didn't expect the Luo family ancestor to be so direct, and he got straight to the point right away. It seems that there must be another hidden story here. Senior, I want to know why the Celestials kidnapped Ziwan and forced me to trade with them. After seeing the message from the Luo family ancestor, Su Fan felt a surge of heat from his spine to the back of his head. After a long while, he suppressed his anger. Although he didn't have any feelings for Luo Ziwan, he still owed her a lot of favors. The Celestials were too mean to do such a shameless thing. In fact, the reason why the Celestials did this was because they were forced by Su Fan. If this kid was allowed to live, who knows how many people in the clan would die. The Celestials didn't have many people in the clan, so how could they withstand such harm from him? What tormented them the most was that although they had mobilized almost all the resources of the clan, they didn't even see the shadow of this kid after half a year of tossing. Now, the Celestials in all the star regions of the Kaianshan star region are already in a state of panic. There was no other way. Su Fan sacrificed more than 1 million of his people and built the Jingwen human bone tower, which caused extreme panic among the cultivators in the tribe. That was not all. The boy actually recorded the video of the sacrifice of his people with a recording instrument. Now all the cultivators of all races in the Jiaoxu realm know about this matter. How can the arrogant and narcissistic Xianren clan, who claim to be the children of the gods, feel? This matter is absolutely a great shame for the Xianren clan. Su Fan, the big devil, has also become the nightmare of all Xianren clan cultivators. As long as they think of the crystal clear pale Jingwen ancient human bone tower, the cultivators of the Xianren clan will feel heartbroken. So no matter what the price, the Xianren clan will do it without hesitation. As long as they kill that boy, everything will be worth it. You know, they have kidnapped the descendants of a fusion realm boss, and have offended the ancestor of the Luo family. Su Fan really can't understand the brain circuits of the Xianren clan's high-level leaders. He actually offended a Xianren clan boss, and the consequences are unpredictable. Senior, do you know where the Celestials have imprisoned her? I'm looking for her, but I haven't found her yet. Although the Luo family patriarch didn't say anything, Su Fan could sense the other party's rage from the message. Tell me if you find out. The Luo family patriarch replied with one word, and then there was no movement. Devours, what are your plans for the next step? And what we at Ruai Pavilion should do? Just tell me. Seeing the message sent by Qin Yu, Su Fan fell into deep thought. Now that he didn't have the isolation jade talisman that the Luo family patriarch gave him, it was impossible for Su Fan to find a place to hide quietly. Fortunately, he had already arranged a lot of backup plans, and set up more than a dozen blood samples in various star regions through the Ruai Pavilion. In addition, the heavenly secret chapter in the stealing the sky and changing the day to wash away sins and eliminate evils technique could disrupt the Celestials' divination results as much as possible. But in this way, Su Fan had to run around again. There was no way, he couldn't not run. The Celestials thought too highly of him. These guys were so crazy that they hired 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm. Once the Celestial clan predicts his exact location, he will definitely die. Not to mention 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm, he can't even bear one. If they want to kill him, it's as easy as killing an ant. Fortunately, in this cross-domain flying boat, the Celestial clan's fortune-telling monks will not be able to measure his energy for the time being. Do you have any way for me to avoid the Celestial clan's divination? The best way is to leave the Jiaoxu realm immediately, and the second is to enter our Ruai Pavilion's fake death secret realm, but you have to sleep for 10 years before you can come out. Seeing Qin Yu's reply, Su Fan sighed. It is impossible for him to leave the Jiaoxu realm now. If he leaves without dealing with the Celestial clan, his Dao heart will be flawed in the future. Moreover, he owes Luo Ziwan a lot of favors. If he leaves like this, he will not be able to pass this test of his Dao heart. The higher the realm of a cultivator, the more he should pay attention to the transparency of his heart. To put it bluntly, a cultivator cannot have regrets, let alone obsessions. Once these things are in his heart, they will become bottlenecks and shackles for breakthroughs in the future. It is not so obvious when he is in the Jinden and Yuanying realms, but once he breaks through the Huashan realm, these things will become obstacles to the future. Therefore, most of the cultivators in this world of cultivation are cold-hearted people. In the hearts of cultivators, everything else can be abandoned except the Tao. But before Su Fan traveled to this world of self-cultivation, his three views had already solidified. In his previous life, he grew up in a society with a Confucian atmosphere. Many concepts had already been subtly engraved in his bones, and the traditional inheritance from generation to generation had also been integrated into his blood. He didn't really think much of it before, but since he came to this world, he found out how much influence the traditional concepts of his previous life had on him. The traditional ideas of loyalty, filial piety, benevolence, righteousness, etc. are the most basic logic for him to think about problems and judge good and evil. So his so-called heart of Tao is different from that of most cultivators in this world. If Su Fan were to leave Jiaoxu realm at this time, it would definitely go against his will. As for entering that secret realm of suspended death, where he would need to sleep for 10 years before coming out, that would be even worse. That would be equivalent to handing everything he had over to others. Although Ruai Pavilion has a good reputation, if there are enough chips for betrayal, they will sell him out without hesitation. Anyway, Su Fan would not be that stupid, and he would never let others control his destiny. My fate is in my own hands, and if the heaven wants to destroy me, I will destroy the heaven. Even if I die, I will die in a blazing way. Thinking of this, Su Fan took a deep breath. Qin Yu, when can we reach Kunwu heaven? About 6 months later, then after I arrive at Kunwu heaven, activate a sample of my blood. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 971 Money is a Bastard, Earn It Again After You Spend It. Wangjiao Star Region, Qinglu Ocean. At this moment, Huan Lu was sitting cross-legged in a monastery, with more than 10 Shinran clan cultivators standing in front of him. Haven't you found any trace of that kid yet? After hearing his words, a Shinran clan cultivator stood out from the crowd opposite. Report to Lord Huan, the divination cultivators in the clan are calculating day and night, but until today, they haven't found the kid's aura. It is estimated that he has escaped from Wangjiao Star Region. After hearing the other party's words, Huan Lu sighed secretly. It has been more than half a year since that kid broke through the 9th level formation and escaped. The clan has also mobilized a large number of elite Liaxu realm clan members to come to Wangjiao Star Region, but after so many people tossed around for several months, they still couldn't find any trace of him. Recently, those two old demons haven't caused any trouble, except for asking us to continuously send them some top-grade furnaces and tripods. They haven't made much trouble. After hearing the other party's words, Huan Lu's face also became gloomy. Whenever he thought of these two despicable old guys, he would be filled with anger. However, he wanted to kill that little devil, but he could only accept their blackmail. Huan Lu could only suppress his anger. When did the God clan fall to this point, and actually have to look at the eyes of the inferior human race? Just when Huan Lu was thinking about it, a fellow tribesman ran in from outside. Duke Huan. Duke Huan, we found the boy's aura. Tang Huan Lu stood up from the ground. What did you say? We found the boy's trace. Where's he? The news just came back from the tribe. His aura just appeared in the Pegasus Star region. Did the tribe send back any instructions? No, just this news. Huan Lu took a deep breath and suppressed his excitement. The more at this time, the more he needed to calm down. This kid is too cunning. The Pegasus Star region found the boy's aura. It is very likely that he is deliberately setting up a trap. After all, the energy of the celestial race is limited. The Pegasus Star region is very far from the Wangjiao Star region, and it will take at least several months to toss it once. Thinking of this, Huan Lu sat down again, but his heart seemed to be full of grass and he couldn't calm down at all. Until the afternoon, after the efforts of many divination monks of the celestial race, Su Fan's exact location in the Pegasus Star region was finally determined. Huan Lu also received a decree from the high-level members of the clan, asking them to go to the Pegasus Star region immediately to capture Su Fan. Not only them, but also many elite teams composed of monks and the clan are heading to the Pegasus Star region. Shuhei Star region, Kunwu Heaven, Kyunghae Fairy City. In the afternoon, Su Fan walked down from a flying boat. At this moment, he has changed into a brand new look, and his identity has become a casual cultivator in the nascent soul realm. He glanced at the huge airport with a surging flow of people, then stepped into the square, and was submerged in the surging crowd in a moment. Su Fan followed the crowd into Kyunghae Fairy City and settled down in a hotel arranged by Qin Yu. It must be said that the service of Ruai Pavilion for gold medal customers is indeed thoughtful. No matter where they are, there are special personnel to serve them. Of course, the price of all these high-quality services is also shocking. But at this time, Su Fan still cares about these. Money is a bastard. Just go and earn it after spending it. Su Fan walked into a courtyard and was immediately shocked by the luxury in front of him. It was the first time for him to live in such a high-end luxurious cave. At this time, several beautiful female cultivators came over and paid homage to him. Junior pays homage to the true lord? Let's not talk about anything else. Just the girls in this luxurious cave are not seen in ordinary places. Not only are they extremely beautiful, but their temperament is also pure and incomparable, without a trace of worldly air. But at this time, he didn't have the heart to care about these. Su Fan took out a ring and threw it to the giant and female cultivator in the lead, and then waved to them. I will be in seclusion these few days, don't disturb me. After he finished speaking, he walked straight to the depths of the cave, came to a hall and sat cross-legged. Su Fan has been in Shuhei Star region for more than a month. He has been to several planes in succession, and made some arrangements before coming to Kunwu Heaven's Kyunghae Fairy City. Kyunghae Fairy City is a city by the sea, and it is also the main city of the Kyunghae Deo Palace, the most powerful super fairy sect of Kunwu Heaven. Not long after he sat down, the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion on his waist vibrated slightly. There is no need to guess that it must be a message from Qin Yu. The efficiency of Ruai Pavilion is also fast enough. He knew it as soon as he entered the cave. Devours, are you satisfied with the cave? If not, I will help you change one immediately. Qin Yu's service to him now can be said to be meticulous. It's pretty good here, I'm very satisfied. Devours, the blood samples you set up in the Pegasus Star region have been activated, and the people of the celestial race and the two evil old demons in the fusion realm have all left Kinglo Ocean. Su Fan smiled when he saw the message sent by Qin Yu. It seems that the original arrangement has worked, successfully attracting the celestial race and the two evil old demons in the fusion realm. The Pegasus Star region and the Shuhei Star region where he is now are completely opposite, in the opposite direction. Even if the celestial race finds out that they have been deceived and comes back, it will take more than a year just on the road. By the time they have traveled thousands of miles to the Shuhei Star region, he will have left here long ago. Finally, they have been thrown away, at least they can be quiet for a few months. Thank you for your hard work. If there is anything else, I will contact you. Su Fan chatted with Qin Yu for a few more words, and then put away the jade talisman of the Ruai Pavilion. He thought for a moment, took off the jade talisman of Huangqun Tower from his waist, and sent a message to Zhu Ming. Qin Yu, does our Huangqun Tower have a foothold in Pegasus Star region? Of course, you are in Pegasus Star region, I will arrange it for you right away, wait for me, I will tell you the location later. After a while, Zhu Ming sent him an address, which was a foothold of Huangqun Tower in Pegasus Star region. Su Fan took a look at the address, and then put the jade talisman away. The intelligence agency of Huangqun Tower has been like a sieve for a long time, and the news that he contacted Zhu Ming of Huangqun Tower may have spread now. In order to find him, the Celestials will definitely spend a lot of money everywhere to collect their own intelligence. The guys in the intelligence agency of Huangqun Tower will definitely sell the news of his Pegasus Star region to the Celestials. Chapter 972, What a Demonage Brings Disaster to the Country and the People. As expected by Su Fan, the Celestials got this information soon after he contacted Zhu Ming. Originally, the Celestials were still worried that Su Fan would cheat, so they did not send all their forces to the Pegasus Star region just to be on the safe side. But when they got this information from the Yellow Springs Tower, they did not hesitate to send all their backup forces to the Pegasus Star region. The blood samples that Su Fan arranged in various star regions were an ancient evil method taught to him by the evil Buddha Wangda. The evil monks may not be strong in combat, but when it comes to hiding their breath and hiding their whereabouts, All the monks of other sects cannot catch up with him. The most amazing thing about this evil method is that it only needs a little blood of the monk to completely simulate the monk's ki, and it will always be captured first by the monks of the divine Dao. A few days later, Kinyu contacted him and told him the latest movements of the Celestials. According to the intelligence, a large number of elite members of the Celestials were sent to the Fenma Star region. This shows that his strategy has worked. As expected, the intelligence agency of Ruai Pavilion encountered an accident and was still as bad as before. It's a pity that he used the explosion blood-burning secret method not long ago. Although Su Fan's injuries have almost healed, the sequelae of the skills have not completely subsided, and his strength has not been fully restored. Otherwise, he would have taken advantage of the emptiness of the rear of the Celestial clan and killed his way to the Kyanshan Star region. Fortunately, a large number of Celestial clan cultivators who were chasing him were attracted to the Pegasus Star region. When they knew they were deceived, it would take more than a year to come back. Su Fan will have a few more months to restore his strength to the peak state. In addition, he is entrusting Qin Yu to find the whereabouts of Luo Ziwen to see if there is a chance to rescue his sister. Although the ancestor of Luo Ziwen's family betrayed him, his sister didn't say anything to him, and he still owed her a big favor. In the afternoon, Su Fan sat cross-legged in the hall of the luxurious cave, leisurely sipping spiritual tea. At this time, a beautiful female giant and cultivator came in from outside. She came to Su Fan and bowed to him. "Greetings, immortal lord." After she finished speaking, she knelt down beside Su Fan, picked up the teapot beside her, and poured Su Fan a cup of spiritual tea. She was wearing a snow-white robe, which made her exquisite figure look particularly tall, like a winter plum blossom blooming in the cold winter. Especially her pair of bright and clear eyes, just like two clear lakes, with a light and elegant temperament, without the slightest softness and frivolity, giving people a feeling that others cannot be disrespected. "What do you want to eat tonight, senior? I will arrange it for you right away." The behavior of the female giant and cultivator gave people a feeling of being inviolable. "Damn, if I hadn't slept with you every day, I would have believed it." Su Fan glanced at her, smiled and said, "I want to eat you." The girl immediately lowered her head shyly, and a barely perceptible blush appeared on her peach-like face. "Senior eats every day, and he still hasn't had enough." Su Fan laughed and pulled the girl into his arms. This giant and female cultivator is called Gu Qing, and she is the head maid in this luxurious cave. Those who can live in such a place must be at least old monsters in the refining void realm, or even big brothers in the fusion realm. And the female cultivators who work as maids here are all disciples of the immortal sect, who are well versed in the Harmony Dao. The difference between the Harmony Dao of the immortal sect and the Harmony Dao of the demon sect is not big, and they are from the same source. The Harmony Dao of the immortal sect and the Harmony Dao of the demon sect seem to be not very serious, but the threshold of these two sects is quite high, and it is not an exaggeration to pick one in a million. Because Gu Qing was born with a charming body, she was accepted as a disciple by a Harmony Dao big brother of the Kyonghai Dao Palace since she was a child. Since the Xianren clan invested its power in the Pegasus Star region, Su Fan finally relaxed and was in the mood to go to Kyonghai Xianchang for a stroll. He also became familiar with Gu Qing, and the two soon had an affair. There is no way. Gu Qing's seductive and charming and pure and cold temperament are two natural temperaments. Just now, she was a fairy from outer space who was above the world and seemed to have seen through the world. But when her eyes turned, she suddenly became a seductive woman, charming, just like the former Daji who was a seductive and destructive country. Although Su Fan swallowed the blood of the old ancestor of the Deadwood, it greatly alleviated the influence of the blood of the depressed fusion realm boss in his body. But he still has some characteristics of the demon clan, like a teddy bear who loves the sky, the earth, and the air. Who can stand the contrast of Gu Qing's purity and desire? And Su Fan knew that Gu Qing was a disciple of the Hideo boss of the sect, and came here to be the head maid, and she came to practice. So of course he would not refuse, but cooperate with her practice. Not only that, the dozen beautiful female cultivators in the cave were also slept with. In fact, this was not Su Fan's original intention. Although these dozen female cultivators also practiced harmony, they were no match for Gu Qing. The main reason was that Gu Qing could not stand Su Fan's whipping. This was not a human being, but a beast. Even the monsters and demons were not as strong as him. Especially since Su Fan had an invincible electric whip, which tortured Gu Qing to death and almost made her see her own breasts. So every time she shared a room with Su Fan, Gu Qing would bring a few female cultivators from the cave to protect her. Su Fan didn't care. He spent all night with Gu Qing and a dozen female cultivators. This also made Gu Qing and the dozen female cultivators in the cave miserable. They were in pain and happiness every day. Su Fan didn't care about that. He spent money. For this cave, Gu Qing and these maids were like a few appetizers on a luxurious banquet table to whet the appetite. They were just a configuration. Of course, Su Fan was not a stingy person, and the reward he deserved was not less. Gu Qing stayed in his arms for a while, then struggled to get up, and hit Su Fan with her little face flushed. "Okay, stop making trouble, I have to prepare dinner for you." After she finished speaking, she covered her mouth and couldn't help laughing. This smile really made her hair shake lightly. And her pretty face was bright and radiant, just like a clear snow, so bright and beautiful. Gu Qing stood up from the ground and bowed to Su Fan. When she raised her head again, she seemed like a different person. Bright eyes and white teeth, fluttering clothes, a black waterfall moving in the wind, and her watery pupils revealed a faint coldness that made people dare not blaspheme. This is really a demon who brings disaster to the country and the people. After Gu Qing left, Su Fan took a deep breath and calmed himself down. After several months of recuperation, his strength has almost recovered, and it is time to head to the Cultivation Star region. Chapter 973. It's time for me to steal the home of the Celestials. For the next month, Su Fan stayed in the Qinghe immortal city of Kunwu Heaven. He spent every day in that luxurious cave, fooling around with Gu Qing and a dozen other female cultivators, indulging in such a bohemian life. It must be said that the female cultivators of the Harmony Dao of the Immortal Sect are really irresistible. Compared with the unruly Hilhoon Dao of the Demon Sect, the Harmony Dao of the Immortal Sect is more subtle, but it is coquettish to the core. Every few days, Su Fan would return to the portable secret realm to comfort Sister Zhen. Now when the sister sees him, her eyes are almost rolled up to the sky. Su Fan seems to be unruly, but this can greatly alleviate the influence of the great demon bloodline in his body on him, and it is also a way to release the evil fire accumulated in his chest. More than a month has also allowed Su Fan's strength to return to the peak state again, and he has begun to prepare to go to the Cultivation Star region. In the early morning, he sat cross-legged by the pond next to the thatched cottage in the secret realm, closing his eyes to practice the Hununhuiki's henging. After performing the blood explosion and burning secret method, the side effects of various aspects of his body tormented him for several months, and it was not until yesterday that he was completely recovered. During the 1 year of his recovery, Su Fan could not do anything. Although the blood explosion and burning secret method is very effective, the side effects are very difficult to deal with. He can neither practice the Hununhuiki True Sutra nor temper his blood, and can only rely on time to slowly cultivate. After 9 turns of power, Su Fan opened his eyes and exhaled a long breath of turbid air. Just now when he was practicing the power, he felt that the meridians in his body had been completely restored, and the blood in his body had finally recovered. "Master, it's time to eat." At this time, Sister Zhen floated over from a distance and hugged Su Fan from behind. Su Fan touched her hair with his hand and said, "I'll go in a while, then I'll bring breakfast over." Su Fan shook his head and said, "No, I'll go over to eat later." Sister Zhen floated in front of Su Fan, leaned in his arms, and buried her head in his chest. "Are you going out to eat? The food of those vixens is so delicious." Maybe stimulated by Gu Qing and other girls outside the cave, Sister Zhen has become particularly clingy recently. "Don't think too much, I'll go over to have breakfast in a while, I'm leaving in the next few days." Hearing that Su Fan was leaving here, Sister Zhen suddenly became energetic. "Then I'll go prepare it now, you hurry up." After saying this, Sister Zhen kissed Su Fan and then floated away. Looking at her back, Su Fan smiled bitterly and shook his head. At this time, the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion on his waist vibrated slightly. Su Fan took it off his waist and found that it was a message from Qin Yu. "Devours, the ancestor of the Luo family, asked me to send you some things. Where are you going to get them?" Seeing the message sent by Qin Yu, Su Fan frowned immediately. "What does this old bitch mean? Do you know what he sent me?" "I really don't know, he just asked me to send it to you." Since being betrayed by the Luo family ancestor, Su Fan didn't trust him at all, fearing that he would be cheated by this old bitch again. He thought about it and felt that he still wanted to see what the other party sent to him. "I'm going to Cultivation Star region soon, let's pick it up on the way." "Okay, I'll arrange it for you." The Celestials didn't find anything unusual in the Pegasus Star region. Don't worry, fellow Taoist. A large number of elite disciples sent by the Celestials are looking for your whereabouts throughout the Pegasus Star region, and the two evil old demons in the fusion realm have also gone there. Seeing Qin Yu's message, Su Fan sneered. You guys can toss around in the Pegasus Star region, I'm going to steal your Celestials home. You still haven't found out the whereabouts of Luo Ziwen. Originally, the Luo family ancestor made a deal with the Celestials. As long as he provided Su Fan's exact location, the Celestials would send Luo Ziwen back. But until today, the Celestials still haven't sent the girl back, and the Luo family ancestor is very angry about this. Devours, I have mobilized a lot of offline people, but until today, there is still no news. It seems that Luo Ziwen, that girl, should be under house arrest in the secret realm of a certain Shinran clan leader. Originally, Su Fan wanted to take advantage of this trip to Qianshan Star region to see if there is a chance to bring the girl back. Now it seems that there is no chance. The Luo family ancestor and Ruai Pavilion have not found Luo Ziwen's whereabouts. Qin Yu, help me collect various intelligence about Qianshan Star region in the next few days. Devours, rest assured, I will do my best to collect intelligence for you. Apart from anything else, Qin Yu's attitude now is really nothing to say. Well, thank you for your hard work. Please help me prepare a cross-star flying boat. Ruai Pavilion's service to gold medal customers is simply meticulous. Now there is a cross-star flying boat on standby at any time, dedicated to Su Fan alone. Moreover, Qin Yu would help Su Fan make plans based on the intelligence of the Celestials, and find out some star regions in the Qianshan Star region that were relatively unguarded for Su Fan to choose from. A few days later, Su Fan left Qionghai Fairy City. Gu Qing and the dozen girls in the cave were reluctant to say goodbye to him. Although he was like an animal, tossing them to death every day, especially the invincible electric whip made them afraid and love. But they probably won't meet a super fierce man like Su Fan in the future. Su Fan took the cross-domain flying boat of Ruai Pavilion and passed through several starry sky gates all the way. It took several months to arrive at Fengboshan in Muai Star region. This is the place where Su Fan and Qin Yu agreed to meet. The things that the ancestor of the Luo family entrusted to Ruai Pavilion to give him were collected here. In the afternoon, the flying boat that Su Fan was riding slowly landed at the airport of Linxiao Fairy City. Su Fan got off the flying boat, looked around, and then disappeared into the crowded crowd in the airport square. He followed the crowd into the city, and then settled down in a luxurious hotel in the city according to the address Qin Yu gave him. Su Fan had just walked into the guest room when someone knocked on the door. He opened the door and saw a Yuanying realm cultivator standing outside. The other party presented a ring with both hands and respectfully presented it. Su Fan glanced at the man and took the ring. The other party turned around and left without saying a word. He came to the hall of the guest room and sat cross-legged, looking at the ring in his hand and examining it carefully. Su Fan's eyes condensed, and his consciousness scanned the ring. Fuck. Seeing the things in the ring, Su Fan couldn't help but burst out a swear word. Chapter 974, Will I be cannon fodder at this time? Looking at the things in the ring, Su Fan was stunned for a long time. After a long time, he finally came to his senses and his mood slowly calmed down. There were not many things in the ring, but each one was priceless. Among them were 4 9th-level attack fairy talismans, in addition to 4 jade talismans. He took out the things in the ring, placed them in front of him, and then picked up the 4 9th-level fairy talismans and looked at them carefully. Boy, I can only help you with these. Kill a few more celestial beings for me. At this time, the voice of the ancestor of the Luo family rang in his mind. It seems that this old guy is really angry, but the little girl in his family is still in the hands of the celestial beings, so he dare not act rashly. Although the celestial beings dare not do anything to Luo Ziwen, they will send him back sooner or later. But even so, the ancestor of the Luo family was very angry, so he brought these things to him, hoping to use Su Fan's hand to vent his anger for him. Thinking of this, Su Fan couldn't help but smile. He looked at the 4 9th-level immortal talismans in front of him, all of which were attacking immortal talismans. Although these 4 tangled immortal talismans were somewhat powerless to deal with the 2 evil old demons in the fusion realm, it was no problem to kill those Shinran clan's refining realm monks, or to cause damage in the Qianshan star field. Su Fan put down the 4 9th-level immortal talismans and picked up the 4 jade talismans to look at them carefully. He knew that these 4 jade talismans must be extraordinary. because two of the jade talismans seemed familiar to him. Su Fan had killed the old ancestor of the Deadwood with a jade talisman in Luo Zhuang's hand. Thinking of this, Su Fan's hands began to tremble with excitement. The two jade talismans sealed the full force of the Luo family ancestor. With these two jade talismans, even if he encountered the two evil old demons in the fusion realm, he would be able to fight with the evil method Rakshasa Dushan crying soul demon sound. Su Fan suppressed his excitement and picked up the other two jade talismans to study them. After studying them for a while, he finally figured out the functions of the two jade talismans. The two jade talismans were body protection jade talismans that could withstand a blow from a master in the fusion realm. Su Fan put these things away and took a deep breath. The two evil old demons in the fusion realm were like a mountain pressing on his heart. He couldn't sleep at night these days. There was no way, they were two evil old demons in the fusion realm. Apart from running, he didn't even have the courage to fight. They could blow him to pieces with just a breath. If it were other cultivators, even if they had these things, they would be useless when they met the two evil old demons in the fusion realm. But Su Fan was an exception. Because of the Rakshasa Dushan crying soul demon sound given to him by the evil Buddha Wangda, it was a secret technique specifically used to harm evil cultivators. When he killed old ancestor Kumyu last time, he found that this secret technique was effective even against evil old demons in the fusion realm. At this time, the jade talisman of Ruai Pavilion on Su Fan's waist suddenly vibrated slightly. He took off the jade talisman from his waist and took a look at the message sent by Kinyu. Devours. I just received news that a large number of cultivators have gathered in more than a dozen star fields around Kaianshan Star Field. What the hell? Are those star fields going to take action? Is your news accurate? Very accurate. Not only our Ruai Pavilion, this matter should have spread by now, and all kinds of news have been flying all over the sky. After reading the message sent by Kinyu, Su Fan couldn't help but sigh secretly. Countless cultivators from more than a dozen star fields began to gather. Such a big thing could not be concealed at all, so these star fields were ready to attack at any time. At this time, he didn't dare to rashly go to Kaianshan Star Field. If he got caught in the battlefield between the two sides, it would be useless even if he had 3 heads and 6 arms. Kinyu, when do you think those star regions will launch an attack? There is no new news yet, but according to my analysis, it will be in the next 2 days. I guess those star regions should not be idle in the past few months. They must have built a space gate in the Kaianshan Star region. Su Fan agreed with Kinyu's analysis. Although the Celestials control the entire Kaianshan Star region, they have too few people, and they also use the feudal system in each plane. There are not many people to begin with, and they have also dispersed the clan members to various star regions. Once those star regions launch a surprise attack on the Celestials, they will definitely be defeated one by one. Even if the Celestials get the news now, it is probably too late. And don't forget that there are countless slaves of various races in each plane of the Kaianshan Star region. These cultivators have an irreconcilable hatred with the Celestials. Although they can't help much, as local natives, it is still okay to be the guide. The star regions around the Kaianshan Star region have long coveted the rich cultivation resources of the Kaianshan Star region. Su Fan guessed that they must have been busy for hundreds of years, and he didn't know how many spies they had infiltrated into the Kaianshan Star region. In any case, the Celestials were miserable this time. According to the current situation, it would be very difficult for them to survive this catastrophe. With the feudal structure of the Celestials, at least in the early stage of the war, they must be extremely passive. Once those star regions conquered a few planes and allowed them to gain a foothold in the Kaianshan Star region, the Celestials would never have a chance to regain the lost territory. There was no way. The Celestials had too few people, and even if they concentrated all their strength, they could not compete with the coalition forces of more than a dozen star regions. Fellow Taoist, I think it's best for you not to go to the Kaianshan Star region now. Our Ruai Pavilion flying boat can't pass through the interception of those star regions at all. It's best to wait for the latest news from there before making plans. Nonsense, of course I won't go there. Am I going to be cannon fodder at this time? Well, I see. Fellow Taoist, I have an idea. You can go to the star regions around Kaianshan Star region first. They will definitely recruit a large number of cultivators in the local area when they fight with the celestial race. You can follow them and sneak in. This is a solution, but Su Fan will not go there now. After all, The first few batches of cultivators recruited in these star regions must be used as cannon fodder. I see. If there's any new news, contact me immediately. Su Fan chatted with Qin Yu for a while before putting away the Jade Talisman of Ruai Pavilion. This is so. Su Fan never thought that those star regions would choose to launch an attack at this time. Of course, this news is not a bad thing for him. At least the celestial race has no time to deal with him now. And Su Fan can also take advantage of the war between the two sides to find an opportunity to touch the rear of the celestial race and give them a hard time. He is not going to get involved in the front battlefield, but the Kaianshan Star region is so large that there will always be a place for him to use his skills. Chapter 975. Unfortunately, it's too late. In the next few days, the news from Kaianshan Star region spread almost all over Jiaoxi realm. A coalition of more than a dozen star regions invaded Kaianshan Star region from several directions. The celestial race was panicked in the face of the raid of countless cultivators. The celestial race had a small population and was scattered to various planes. Moreover, the area of each fiefdom was not small, and the connection between the fiefdoms was not close. All the territorial cultivators of the celestial race stayed in their respective fiefdoms to enjoy themselves. Since Su Fan raided Hongxun City, he had seen the fragility of the celestial race's fiefdom structure. Even he could see it, so other star regions could certainly find the weakness of the celestial race. Moreover, the more than a dozen star regions around Kaianshan Star region may have started preparations hundreds of years ago. They didn't know how many spies they had infiltrated Kaianshan Star region, and they had already understood the power of the celestial race in various planes. Therefore, before the coalition of more than a dozen star regions launched the attack, they had already established a large number of starry sky gates in various planes of Kaianshan Star region. Although the high-ranking members of the celestial race had learned that many of the surrounding star fields were gathering, they had also issued a mobilization order to the entire race. Unfortunately, it was too late. When countless battleships roared out of the starry sky gate, some planes of the celestial race had not even had time to mobilize. In the early stages of the Star War, countless celestial race cultivators were caught off guard and died at the hands of the Star Field Coalition. Among them were a large number of old monsters in the spiritualization realm and the refining void realm, and even dozens of big men in the combination realm, who also fell under the siege of high-level cultivators of the Star Field Coalition. There was no way. The celestial race cultivators were too scattered, especially when they were attacked by the Star Field Coalition. They could only be defeated one by one. Moreover, the Kaianshan Star Field was full of guides, and the slaves of various races who were oppressed by the celestial race had long been looking forward to someone coming to liberate them. So when the coalition forces composed of more than a dozen star fields entered the Kaianshan Star Field, they were immediately supported by countless slaves of various races. When the Star Field Alliance entered the Kaianshan Star Field, they did not have to worry about guides at all, and they could get supplies on the spot. The Starfield Alliance also began to simply arm the slaves of the various tribes in the Kaianshan Star Field, and let them take on the logistics work of the Alliance. In less than a month, the Starfield Alliance had occupied hundreds of planes in the Kaianshan Star Field, and completely established a foothold in the Kaianshan Star Field. Not only that, the Starfield Alliance had no intention of stopping to rest, and countless monks were still launching a crazy attack on the Kaianshan Star Field. Moreover, there were more monks in the Starfield Alliance, who continuously entered the Kaianshan Star Field through thousands of starry sky gates. On the other hand, the Celestial Clan monks were more passive. Although they mobilized the entire tribe in time and reduced their forces as much as possible, the losses within the tribe were still very large. Countless planes outside the Kaianshan Star Field have all fallen into the hands of the Starfield Alliance, and more planes are captured by the Starfield Alliance every moment. Although the top leaders of the celestial race were also mobilizing a large number of elites to support various planes, they were ultimately unable to stop the Starfield Coalition's overwhelming offensive due to their small number of troops. Seeing that the situation on the battlefield was already so dire, many of the top leaders of the celestial race had no choice but to make a ruthless move and grit their teeth to issue an order to withdraw across the board. Countless members of other planes abandoned all their supplies and retreated to the rear of the celestial race. In a very short period of time, they established several solid lines of defense centered on several super planes where the top leaders of the tribe lived. This also allowed the Starfield Coalition to occupy most of the planes in the Kyanshan star field without any effort. This starfield war had actually just begun. Although the celestial race suffered heavy losses in the hasty attack by the Starfield Coalition, the elite areas of the celestial race were almost all concentrated around several superplanes. The most elite cultivators of the celestial race were almost all concentrated in these more than 100 planes. Although most of the bottles and jars were abandoned, the fighting power of the Celestials did not decrease but increased. Faced with a crazy attack of countless Starfield Coalition forces, the Celestials also killed Bloodshot Eyes and desperately blocked the Starfield Coalition forces outside the defense line. In fact, at this time, the Starfield Coalition forces no longer had the sharpness of the initial attack. After all, they occupied most of the planes of the Kyanshan star field, and the high-level officials of more than 10 star fields of the Starfield Coalition forces also began to divide the cake. The resources of the Kyanshan star field are very rich. Many inconspicuous remote planes are very rich in spiritual vein resources and cultivation resources. It's just that because the Celestials have few people, the resources of many planes have not been developed. Faced with so many resource-rich planes, this also made the leaders of more than 10 star fields ecstatic, constantly recruiting monks in their respective star fields to enrich the population of each plane. Because the Starfield Coalition forces were busy digesting the spoils, this gave the Celestials a chance to breathe. Although the Celestial race is small in number, they are extremely united. Although they are outnumbered, all the cultivators of the race, regardless of gender or age, are on the defensive line. The Star Region Alliance, which consists of more than 10 star regions, had problems at this time. Because the Star Region Alliance's division of spoils is based on the strength of each star region. So even though the cake is big enough, there will definitely be some fat and some thin when it is distributed, which also makes the atmosphere of each star region of the Star Region Alliance, which was originally united, become subtle. Moreover, after the cake was divided, each star region of the Star Region Alliance put its strength in its own area and could no longer work together. In addition, the Celestial race fought desperately. And now when it launched an attack, the losses were much greater than at the beginning of the war. After all, the Celestial race must fight desperately for survival. So even though the number of people on both sides of the battle was more than 100 times different, the Star Region Alliance could not break through the Celestial race's defense line. The Star Domain Alliance had already gained enough benefits, and they did not want to suffer too much loss at this time, so everyone was working without putting in any effort. This also caused the battlefield to fall into short-term balance, and the battle situation was deadlocked for a while. While the Celestials were silently licking their wounds, they had already begun to send out requests for help from their fellow tribesmen in other worlds. In this world of cultivators, the Celestials in all realms are similar. Because of the problem of reproduction, the population is relatively sparse. But compared to other races, the Celestials are very united. When the Celestials in other worlds received requests for help from their fellow tribesmen in the Jiaxu realm, they sent out their elites and began to gather in the Jiaxu realm in a steady stream. It's just that it takes a very long time to cross the worlds. At least the reinforcements of the Celestials cannot reach the Jiaxu realm in a short time. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.